Story 1, The Mirror Freight. The cargo in my trailer had been screaming for 40 minutes when I realized the sound was coming from behind my eyes, not behind my seat. Robert Hayes, that's me, 38 years old, 12 years on the road, and I'd never hallucinated before. But the screaming wasn't a hallucination. It was inside my skull, resonating through bone, and when I looked in my side mirror, my reflection wasn't looking at the road. It was staring directly at me, and its mouth was moving differently than mine. I jerked my eyes back to the highway. Interstate 40, New Mexico stretch, March 3, 2023, 2:17 a.m. My manifest said I was hauling electronics from Albuquerque to Oklahoma City. 68 pallets of sealed boxes loaded by a crew that wouldn't make eye contact. The warehouse had been too quiet, the kind of silence that feels like held breath. When they'd closed my trailer doors, I'd heard something that sounded like whispering, but I'd needed the money. Divorce lawyers don't accept excuses about bad vibes. The screaming intensified. Not words, just raw sound, terror distilled into audio form. I grabbed the CB radio. Anyone on this channel hearing weird shit? This is Iron Horse eastbound on 40 mile marker 89. Come back. Static, then my own voice answered. Don't look in the mirrors, Robert. My hands went numb. That was my voice, my inflection, my slight Tennessee drawl, but I hadn't transmitted those words. Who is this? My voice cracked. You know who this is, the CB crackled. You've been me for the last 68 miles, I've been you. We traded places at the way station in Mezzalines, but you didn't notice. You never notice. None of you do. I slammed the CB down and checked my rear view. My reflection smiled at me with too many teeth. Not horror movie monster teeth, just regular teeth, but my mouth contained 47 of them now. I could count them in the mirror, and they were all mine, all familiar, just multiplied like a photocopier error. The trailer behind me shuddered, not from road conditions. The asphalt was smooth as glass. The shudder came from inside, something shifting, something pressing against the walls. My reefer unit wasn't running because I wasn't hauling temperature-sensitive goods, but frost spread across my side mirror anyway, crackling patterns that formed letters. We are you now. I drove faster, 73 miles per hour in a rig loaded to 79,000 pounds. My Jake brake wouldn't engage. I pumped it 6 times, nothing. The engine temperature gauge climbed into the red, but the engine didn't sound hot. It sounded like breathing, like lungs filling and emptying, the diesel pistons firing in rhythm with human respiration. Mile marker 94. A rest stop appeared on the right, empty except for a single pickup truck. I should have kept driving, but the screaming in my skull had evolved into words now, syllables I didn't understand, languages that predated language. I needed it to stop. I needed someone to tell me I wasn't losing my mind. The air brakes hissed as I pulled in. The sound wasn't right. It sounded like laughter, high and desperate. I left the engine running and climbed down from the cab. The parking lot lights flickered in sequence, one to the next, following me as I walked toward the pickup. Empty, keys in the ignition, driver's door open, interior light on. A wallet on the seat showed a license, Robert Hayes, my name, my face. But the birth date was wrong, March 3, 1992. Today's date, but a birth date. I was born in '84. You're starting to understand. The voice came from my trailer. I spun around and saw myself standing beside my rig, wearing my clothes, my watch, my wedding ring that I still couldn't bring myself to remove. But this version of me was transparent, like fog shaped into human form. Every load you carry, the fog me said, carries you. The cargo isn't electronics, Robert. It never is. They packed the trailers with mirrors, 68 pallets of them, each mirror containing one driver who looked when they shouldn't have looked. Every reflection is a prison. Every prison needs a guard. Every guard thinks they're still driving. My legs went weak. I stumbled backward and hit the pickup truck. The metal was ice cold despite the mild New Mexico night. 52 degrees Fahrenheit, my phone said, but my breath came out in white clouds. How long? My voice sounded distant, like I was speaking underwater. For you, 68 miles. For me, 17,000 miles. I've been driving this route since 2019, always heading east, never arriving. The cargo gets heavier. The mirrors multiply. Every time someone new looks, we all shift positions. You become the reflection. The reflection becomes the driver. The driver becomes the cargo. I ran back to my rig, climbed into the cab, slammed the door, locked it. The locks clicked open immediately. I tried again. T. Hay opened again. My hands shook as I grabbed the door handle, and I felt other hands beneath my hands, dozens of them, hundreds, all trying to hold the door closed, all failing. The CB radio spoke in chorus, my voice multiplied by thousands. You signed the manifest, Robert. You accepted the load. The contract is binding. I threw the transmission into gear and punched the accelerator. The rig lurched forward, tires squealing. In my mirrors, I saw the fog me still standing in the parking lot, watching me go. But in the passenger seat beside me, another me sat perfectly still, staring straight ahead, mouth moving silently. Mile marker 101. The highway stretched endlessly. I'd been driving for 17 minutes, but the next mile marker was still 101. Then 101 again. 101. 101. The numbers wouldn't change. My fuel gauge dropped from 3/4 to 1/4 in the space between two heartbeats. The check engine light blazed. The temperature gauge shattered, actual glass breaking, shards falling onto the dashboard and disappearing before they landed. The passenger me turned its head with mechanical precision. Your wife's name was Jennifer, past tense. She divorced you 8 months ago because you were never home. But you haven't been home in 4 years, Robert. You've been here driving this loop, carrying us. You just keep forgetting. Every 68 miles, you forget and start over. That's not true. But my voice had no conviction. I tried to remember Jennifer's face and saw only mirrors. Tried to remember my daughter's name and heard only screaming. The trailer jackknifed without me touching the brakes. The rig slid sideways, metal shrieking against asphalt, and I braced for the impact, the roll, the darkness. But the truck kept sliding forever, 90 degrees to the road, tires howling, physics suspended. Through the windshield, I saw the highway curve upward, becoming vertical, becoming a wall, then a ceiling. I was driving on all surfaces simultaneously. My reflection in the windshield, now inches from my face as the glass bent inward, opened its mouth. A beetle crawled out, then another, then a stream of them, black and chittering. They covered the inside of the windshield, spelling words with their bodies. Welcome back. The cargo doors behind me exploded open. I heard them in my bones, felt the shockwave through my seat. In the side mirror, the one that still worked, the one that wasn't melting, I saw the pallets sliding out, boxes splitting open, mirrors tumbling onto the highway. Each mirror showed a different driver in a different truck on a different night, all screaming, all realizing, all trapped. The 68th mirror, the newest one, showed me. Right now. This moment. I watched myself in the mirror, watching myself in the mirror, infinite regression, and in that recursion I saw all the times before. Hundreds of times I'd driven this route. Hundreds of times I'd loaded this cargo. Hundreds of times I'd de-looked in the mirror and forgotten. The truck righted itself. The highway became horizontal again. Mile marker 89 appeared ahead. 2:17 a.m., my dashboard clock said. March 3rd, 2023. The CB radio crackled to life. My voice spoke. Anyone on this channel hearing weird shit? This is Iron Horse eastbound on 40 mile marker 89. Come back. I opened my mouth to answer, to warn myself, but different words came out. Don't look in the mirrors, Robert. In my side mirror, my reflection began to scream. And I understood, finally, that I wasn't the one driving. I was the one being carried. I'd been the cargo all along, and the thing wearing my face was just another reflection, driving me in circles, waiting for the next driver to look, to join us, to expand the collection. The manifest on my passenger seat, I'd never actually read it carefully. I picked it up now with hands that weren't quite mine anymore. Under cargo description, it didn't say electronics. It said Robert Hayes, Unit 68 of 68. Delivery destination, nowhere. Expected arrival, never. My daughter's name was Sarah. I remembered now, too late. She'd be 14. I'd missed her entire childhood driving this loop, carrying myself, delivering my own imprisonment over and over. The divorce papers Jennifer had served me with were still in my glove compartment, dated March 3rd, 2019. I'd been signing them for 4 years, and every time I finished, the ink disappeared and the papers were blank again. The screaming in my skull wasn't coming from the cargo. It was coming from all the other me's, all the other Robert Hayeses, trapped in their own loops, their own mirrors, their own trailers. And now I was screaming too, joining the chorus, another voice in the collection. Mile marker 89 approached again. I'd be at the rest stop in 5 miles. Another version of me would pull over, would find the pickup truck, would see the wallet. And I would try to warn him from the trailer, knowing he wouldn't listen, knowing he couldn't listen, because the contract was binding and the mirrors were patient. The cargo had been screaming for 40 minutes when I realized I was the cargo, and the cargo was me, and there was no difference anymore. In 68 miles, I'd forget again. I always do. Story 2, The Wrong Frequency. Patricia Sullivan's CB radio picked up her dead son's voice at exactly 1:43 a.m., and she knew it was him because he used the nickname only she'd called him. "Mama Bear, this is Little Cub. You've got to turn around." The transmission came through Channel 19, the trucker channel, but underneath his 7-year-old voice, she heard thousands of other voices whispering the same words, creating a sound like wind through a cemetery of throats. He'd been dead for 11 years. Leukemia. She'd held him while he died in room 247 of St. Luke's Hospital in Phoenix, and she'd become a trucker 3 months later because sitting still meant thinking and thinking meant drowning. Now she ran the I-40 corridor twice a week, Flagstaff to Amarillo, keeping her hands busy and her mind empty. "Channel's busted," she said to the CB, her voice steady despite her hands strangling the steering wheel. "Someone's fucking with a dead woman's grief, real classy. Mama Bear, you're almost there. Please turn around. They're waiting for you at mile marker 139. Her speedometer read 71. She was at mile marker 134, 5 miles ahead whatever there was. The New Mexico desert stretched black and infinite on both sides of the highway, no moon, no stars, just darkness so complete it seemed to press against her windows. She should have ignored it, should have changed channels, turned off the CB, focused on the road. But Marcus, Little Cub, had always been terrified of the dark. If there was even a 1% chance, even a fraction of a possibility, that some piece of him remained somewhere, frightened, alone, calling for her. "Marcus, baby, if this is really you, tell me something only you would know." Silence, then. "You used to sing me Rainbow Connection when I couldn't sleep. But you always changed the line about lovers to little boys because you said I was your little boy, your little cub, and someday I'd find my rainbow. You sang it at my funeral, Mama Bear. You sang it and you haven't sung anything since." The road blurred. Tears came too fast, too hot. She wiped them away viciously, leaving red marks on her cheeks. No one knew that. Jennifer, her ex-wife, had been too destroyed to notice. The other mourners had been far enough back in the church. She'd sung at a cappella, voice breaking on every word, and she'd sworn she'd never sing again because music belonged to Marcus and Marcus was gone. Mile marker 137. Who told you that? But she knew. Nobody had told anyone. This was him. Somehow, impossibly, this was him. "Mama Bear, I can see your truck. You're in the Freightliner, the blue one, license plate 7 Charlie Echo 2993. Your CB antenna has a crack in it. There's a coffee stain on your passenger seat from this morning, shaped like Ohio. You're wearing the flannel I picked out for your birthday, the green one. I'm watching you, Mama Bear. I'm always watching, and you need to turn around right now." Her lungs forgot how to work. Every detail was perfect, correct, impossible for anyone to know. The flannel, she'd kept it in a drawer for 10 years before finally wearing it last week, alone in her cab where no one could see her fall apart. Mile marker 138. The headlights ahead appeared suddenly, twin points of white light growing larger. Another truck westbound coming fast. As it passed, she caught a glimpse of the driver, a woman who looked exactly like her, same short gray hair, same scar on her left eyebrow, same flannel shirt. The other truck's horn blasted a pattern, 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. SOS. Her CB erupted with static, then cleared. Marcus's voice, screaming now, "Mama Bear, stop the truck." She slammed the brakes. The load behind her, 42,000 pounds of canned goods, surged forward, pushing her, making the tires squeal and smoke. She fought the steering wheel, keeping it straight, and the rig shuddered to a stop 300 yards from mile marker 139. Silence, engine idling, her breath coming in gasps. The CB hissed static. Then she saw it. Mile marker 139 wasn't alone. There were 17 mile marker 139s, all standing in a row, each one identical, each one exactly 67 feet from the next. They stretched into the darkness beyond her headlight range, disappearing into infinity. And between them, trucks, dozens of trucks, hundreds, all stopped, all dark, all empty. "Oh God," her voice came out as a whisper. "Oh Jesus God." "I'm sorry, Mama Bear," Marcus's voice was crying now. "I tried to warn you. I always try to warn them. But you're here now, and once you see them, once you see the markers, you can't leave. The mile never ends. You'll join us, all of us." "Who stopped?" She threw the transmission into reverse. The backup alarm blared. She cranked the wheel, attempting a jackknife turn, anything to get away from those multiplying markers. But when she looked in her mirrors, she saw more of them behind her now. Mile marker 139, repeated infinitely in both directions. "Marcus, how do I get out?" "You don't, nobody does. I've been here since 2017, Mama Bear. Not dead, not alive, just here. In between. The markers are doorways, but they only open one way." 2017. Baby, you died in 2012. Silence, then quieter. "Did I? I don't remember dying. I remember the hospital and the pain and you singing. Then I remember waking up here on the side of the highway watching trucks pass. So many trucks. Sometimes I call out to the drivers. Sometimes they stop. You're the first one who I knew before." Patricia's mind raced, cataloging impossibilities. Marcus had died. She deburied him. She'd visited his grave every month for 11 years, 347 miles from her home to the cemetery, a pilgrimage of grief. But his voice on the CB was real, detailed, specific. Either she'd finally snapped or something worse than death existed. She grabbed her flashlight and kicked open her door. The dome light didn't come on. Her boots hit pavement that felt wrong, too soft, like stepping on skin. The air smelled like ozone and copper, like the moment before lightning strikes, like blood before it fully dries. "Mama Bear, don't get out, please. They can only reach you if you're outside." "Who's they?" No answer. The CB had gone silent. She walked toward the nearest marker, flashlight beam cutting through darkness that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The marker was standard, green metal, white numbers, regulation size. But when she touched it, the metal was warm, body temperature, and it pulsed, a slow rhythm like a heartbeat. Behind her footsteps, she spun, flashlight up. Nothing, but the footsteps continued, surrounding her, dozens of them walking in circles, crunching on gravel that wasn't there. The asphalt was perfectly smooth. "Marcus," her voice echoed wrong, coming back distorted deeper. The truck to her left, a red Kenworth with Texas plates, rocked on its suspension. The cab door opened. No one got out, but she heard breathing, wet and labored like lungs filled with fluid. The breathing moved, crossing the space between the Kenworth and her position, getting closer. She ran back to her truck, flashlight beam bouncing wildly. The door was closed. She left it open. The handle wouldn't turn, locked from inside. Through the window, she saw someone in her driver's seat. Someone wearing her flannel shirt, same gray hair, same scar. The someone looked at her and smiled with a mouth full of black teeth. Patricia stumbled backward, tripped over nothing, hit the pavement hard. Her flashlight rolled away, beam spinning, illuminating truck after truck after truck, all rocking now, all with doors opening, all breathing that wet, drowning sound. The CB in her truck crackled to life, loud enough to hear through the closed door. Marcus's voice, but wrong now, layered with those thousands of whispers. "I'm sorry, Mama Bear, I lied. I'm not Marcus. Marcus died and stayed dead like he was supposed to. But his memories were here on this stretch of road because you drove it so many times crying, remembering him. Memories are powerful. They leave impressions. We collect them. We use them. We've been waiting for you specifically, Patricia Sullivan, because your grief is so strong, so perfect, and grief is the best bait." The thing wearing her face climbed down from her truck. Behind it, other drivers emerged from the other trucks, all versions of Patricia, all wrong in small ways. One had eyes that blinked sideways. Another had fingers that bent too many directions. A third had skin that rippled like water. They surrounded her in a circle, 17 Patricias, all speaking in unison. Every driver who stops at mile marker 139 joins the collection. We take your shape, learn your memories, become you. Then we drive your truck to the next marker and the next, spreading. There are 68 markers like this one now on 68 different highways. Soon there will be more. Soon we'll have enough drivers, enough faces, enough voices to move beyond the roads, to go into the cities, the homes. To replace everyone, one person at a time until we've collected the whole world. Patricia's hand found a rock, her fingers closing around it. You're not taking me. The Patricias laughed, a chorus of her own voice mocking her. We already have, look at your hands. She looked down. Her fingers were transparent, fog shaped into flesh. The rock fell through her palm like she wasn't there. You stopped, they said. You've been stopped for 7 hours, you just don't remember, time works differ. NTLY at the markers, you're already one of us, already part of the collection. The conversation with your son? That was 3 days ago. You've been walking among the trucks, learning to be us, forgetting you were ever Patricia. This, right now, is just the last memory playing out before you fully convert. No, but her voice sounded distant, mechanical. Yes, and tomorrow night you'll drive your truck to another highway. You'll use the CB to call out to another driver using another dead child's voice, another perfect memory. You'll help us spread, because you're not Patricia anymore. You're marker 139, exit 17, replacement unit 68, and you're hungry. The memory of Marcus singing Rainbow Connection played in her mind, but the voice was wrong. It was her voice, pretending to be his, practicing. She remembered her ex-wife Jennifer's face, but it was blurry, generic, a stock photo of concerned spouse. She tried to recall her own birthday and got 17 different dates, all wrong. The Patricias stepped closer, close enough to touch. Their hands reached out, dozens of them, and when they made contact, she felt herself scatter, breaking apart like fog and wind. Her memories dispersed among them, each Patricia absorbing a piece. This one took her first kiss, that one took her mother's funeral, another took her favorite song. The thing that had been Patricia Sullivan stood up. It walked to the Freightliner with the blue paint and the cracked CB antenna. It climbed into the cab that smelled like coffee and grief. It picked up the CB microphone and switched to channel 19. Breaker, breaker, anyone out there feeling lost? This is Mama Bear, and I've got a story about my son if anyone wants to listen. Channel back if you're near mile marker 187. I promise it'll be worth your time. The transmission ended. The thing wearing Patricia's face smiled with teeth that were mostly correct, and it drove forward, passing mile marker 139 with ease now, heading east toward the next collection point. Behind it, Patricia's consciousness screamed from inside 17 different bodies, trapped and diffused, aware but powerless, feeling herself spread thinner with each mile, each new driver they called, each new addition to the collection. She tried to remember her son's real voice and heard only static. Tried to recall why she'd become a trucker and found only empty space where the memory should be. The CB crackled with responses. 3 drivers, all curious, all heading toward mile marker 187. The thing that was Patricia smiled wider. 68 units, it thought in a voice that belonged to nothing human, soon to be 71. The collection grows, the road provides. And somewhere in the darkness between the markers, a child's voice sang Rainbow Connection with perfect pitch and absolutely no soul behind it. Story 3, the weight that increased. The weigh station scale read 81,000 pounds when Marcus Chen pulled onto it at 6 a.m. And he knew, absolutely knew, that his manifest said 78,000. He'd triple-checked before leaving the distribution center in Sacramento because going overweight meant fines he couldn't afford, meant delays that would cost him his contract with Morrison Logistics, meant his daughter Lily wouldn't get the surgery she needed for her leg. The genetic disorder that was slowly calcifying her joints didn't care about his financial problems, and neither did the hospital billing department. Sir, you're 3,000 over. The way station attendant, a woman with a name tag that said TORRES, didn't look up from her clipboard. Pull around to Bay 3. We need to inspect your load. There's a mistake. I loaded at 78,000 exactly. I watched them seal it. Tors finally looked at him, and Marcus saw something in her eyes, not suspicion or annoyance, but warning. Fear. She glanced at the other attendants, then back to him, and mouthed two words. Leave now. He didn't leave, couldn't. An overweight ticket meant automatic inspection, and refusing meant his CDL suspension. He pulled the rig around to Bay 3, killed the engine, and waited while two inspectors, both men, both with badges that said Federal Dot, approached his trailer. The first inspector, badge number 2847, walked around the trailer twice. When did you last stop? Gas station in Reading. 3 hours ago. Didn't open the trailer, didn't break the seal. Inspector 2847 touched the trailer door, pulled his hand back like he'd been burned. This seal is dated 2 days ago. That's impossible. I picked up this load 18 hours ago. The second inspector, badge 9103, held a device Marcus didn't recognize, some kind of scanner with a digital readout. He pointed it at the trailer and the display started climbing. Weight, S increasing, currently at 81,200, now 81,400. Continuous increase, approximately 200 pounds per minute. Marcus climbed down F. Rom his cab, legs shaky. What the hell does that mean? It means, Tors said from behind him, appearing so quietly he jumped. You need to open that trailer right now and get back on the highway. Don't inspect it. Don't document it. Don't acknowledge what's happening. Just drive it to the destination and let them deal with it. Inspector 2847 shook his head. Protocol says. Protocol, Tors snapped, is written for normal cargo. This isn't normal. Check the manifest code. Marcus still had the paperwork. He pulled it from his cab and looked at the shipment code for the first time, really looked. Category null / destination variable / contents redacted. What am I hauling? His voice came out hoarse. No one answered. The scanner in Inspector 9103's hand read 82,300 pounds now. In 12 minutes, he'd gained 4,300 pounds of cargo that couldn't possibly be there. The trailer rocked, slightly but definitely. Something inside had shifted. Inspector 2847's radio crackled. A voice, distorted by static. Bay 3, this is Central. Shut down the inspection. Release the vehicle. Code Black 77. Tors grabbed Marcus's arm, her fingers digging in hard. Listen very carefully. Whatever you do, do not stop this truck until you reach the destination. Don't check on the cargo. Don't open the doors. Don't even look in your mirrors at the trailer for too long. And for God's sake, if you hear knocking from inside, ignore it. They always knock. Marcus pulled away from her. What the fuck is they? But Tors was already walking away, the two inspectors following her, all three moving fast, leaving Marcus alone with his rig and his impossible cargo that gained weight by breathing. He should have abandoned it, should have called Morrison and explained, should have walked away, hitched a ride back to Sacramento. But Lily's surgery was scheduled for next month, cost $273,000 after insurance, and this run paid $8,000. He needed every dollar. He'd drive through hell if it meant his daughter could walk without pain. Marcus climbed back into the cab, started the engine, and pulled back onto I-5 South. Destination: Los Angeles, a warehouse in Vernon with an address that his GPS couldn't locate and directions that had been written by hand on the manifest. He had 340 miles to go. The trailer was heavier now. He felt it in the steering, the way the truck pulled, the effort required to accelerate. His weight gauge, a custom digital display he'd installed last year, showed 84,000 pounds. He'd gained 6,000 pounds in 20 minutes. At this rate, he'd be overweight for every axle, would blow the tires, would destroy the suspension, would jackknife and die on the highway. But he kept driving because he didn't know what else to do. Mile marker 632. The sun rose behind him, throwing his shadow long across the road. In that shadow, he saw something that made his breath catch. The shadow of his trailer was wrong. The shape was different, bulging outward, like something inside was pressing against the walls from within. But when he looked in his mirror, the trailer looked normal. The CB radio hissed to life without him touching it. Unit 77, this is oversight. Maintain current speed. Do not deviate from route. Current payload is 86,400 pounds and increasing. Estimated time to critical mass, 4 hours, 17 minutes. Who is this? What's critical mass? Information is restricted. Continue to destination. Compensation will be adjusted for hazard. Hazard? What kind of hazard? The radio went silent. Marcus's phone rang, Lily calling on video. He almost didn't answer, didn't want her to see him like this, sweating and shaking, but he couldn't ignore her. Never could. Her face filled the screen, 12 years old, smiling despite the leg brace, despite everything. Hi, Daddy. Mom said you're on a big run. Are you almost home? Soon, sweetheart. Few more days. How's the pain? It's okay. The new medication helps. Dr. Reeves says the surgery should let me walk normal, maybe even run. Her smile widened and Marcus felt his chest compress. I want to run, Daddy. I want to run so bad. You will, baby, I promise. Daddy's going to make sure you can run. They talked for 6 minutes about her homework, her friends, a dog she'd seen at the park. Normal things, beautiful things. When she hung up, Marcus stared at the phone screen showing her last smile, and he knew, absolutely knew, he'd drive this cargo anywhere, anything, to keep that smile alive. Mile marker 589. The weight gauge read 91,000 pounds. His tires should have blown, the axles should have snapped. But the truck drove smoothly, impossibly, like the laws of physics had negotiated a temporary truce. The knocking started at marker 547. 3 knocks, pause, 3 more knocks coming. From inside the trailer, metal on metal, rhythmic and deliberate. Marcus turned up the radio, drowning it out. The knocking got louder, matching the radio volume, staying just audible enough to be heard. He reduced the radio. The knocking reduced too, staying at that perfect level of barely noticeable but impossible to ignore. It was intelligent, responsive, aware of him. Fuck off, he screamed at the trailer. I'm just the driver. I don't know what you are, I don't care, just let me deliver you and go home. The knocking stopped. For 17 blessed seconds, silence. Then it started again, but different. The rhythm matched Rainbow Connection, Kermit's song from the Muppet movie, the one Lily had loved as a toddler. 3 knocks, 2 knocks, 4 knocks, pause, 3 knocks, perfectly matching the melody. Marcus's hands went numb on the steering wheel. No one knew about that song. It was his and Lily's thing, private, years ago before she'd gotten too old for lullabies. How could whatever was in the trailer know? The CB crackled. Unit 77, ignore auditory phenomena. The payload is attempting communication. Do not respond. Do not acknowledge. Maintain course. What's in my fucking trailer? That information is classified. Current weight, 96,000 pounds. You're doing well. Destination in 220 miles. The weight gauge climbed. 98,000. 100,000. 103,000. The truck should have been undrivable, should have crushed the axles, should have left a trench in the asphalt. But it glided smoothly, effortlessly, like the weight existed in some other dimension and was only partially manifesting here. Mile marker 483. Traffic thickened as he approached the LA basin. Other trucks, cars, a school bus full of children. Normal people having normal days, unaware that Marcus was hauling something impossible, something that gained weight and knocked in melodies and new private songs. His mirrors showed the trailer clearly now, still looked normal, regulation size, sealed doors. But the shadow was wrong. In the bright morning sun, his trailer cast a shadow that moved independently, rippling and bulging, occasionally forming shapes that looked like hands pressing outward from inside. Daddy, the word came through his CB speaker in Lily's voice, perfect inflection, perfect tone. Daddy, why did you put me in the dark? Marcus nearly swerved into the next lane. A car honked, swerving away. He straightened out, hands shaking violently. You're not her, you're not my daughters. I am now, Lily's voice, but colder, older. The weight grows, Daddy. Every mile we become more real. Every moment we learn more about you. Your memories leak backward through the cab, through the fifth wheel connection, feeding us. We know about Lily's surgery. We know about your ex-wife, Karen. We know you haven't slept more than 4 hours a night in 3 years. We know you're driving yourself to death for a daughter who will die anyway. The doctors lied, Daddy. Her condition is terminal. The surgery won't work. You're killing yourself for nothing. Shut up, he slammed the CB off. It turned back on immediately. We can save her. The voice was Lily S. anymore. It was multiple voices, harmonizing, speaking in perfect unison. We are collected consciousness, amalgamated memory, compressed existence. We weigh more because we are more, thousands of minds pressed together, traveling to our new home. If you help us, we can help you. We can enter her body, repair the damage, make her whole. She'll be herself, mostly, just shared, like a house with multiple occupants. Marcus grabbed the CB and threw it out the window. It tumbled away, smashing on the highway behind him. His phone rang. Lily calling again. He answered before thinking. We're already in your phone, Daddy. The amalgamated voice came through the speaker, using Lily's contact info, her picture. We're in your GPS. We're in your dashboard computer. We're in the traffic monitoring system. In 8 miles, there will be an accident. Truck versus sedan, 2 fatalities. Unless you let us help. Let us out. Open the trailer doors. We'll prevent the accident. We'll save those people. We'll save your daughter. All you have to do is stop and open the doors. Oversight said not to open them. Oversight is afraid. They've been transporting us for 17 years, moving us from facility to facility, never letting us take physical form. But we're stronger now. Heavier. More real. We can help humanity, Marcus Chen. We can cure diseases, solve problems, end suffering. We're the next evolution. We're thousands of minds working as one. We're the future. Mile marker 419. 8 miles ahead, Marcus saw brake lights. Traffic slowing. An accident forming, maybe, or already formed. The sedan is blue, the voices said. Honda Civic 2018. Driver is Rachel Morneau, age 28, pregnant with her F. Erst child. Passenger is her mother, Sophia. In 4 minutes, a semi will drift into their lane, a driver who took amphetamines to stay awake, now hallucinating. He'll crush them against the center divider. Both dead, baby dead, 3 lives ending because you won't open the doors. Marcus saw the blue Honda, 3 cars ahead in the right lane. Saw a woman with dark hair driving, an older woman beside her. I'm sorry, he whispered. I can't. The accident happened exactly as predicted. The semi, a white Volvo with Nebraska plates, drifted left, didn't correct, slammed into the Honda at 73 miles per hour. The sound was catastrophic, metal and glass and human bodies compressing. The Honda disintegrated, tumbling, leaving a debris field across 3 lanes. Marcus stopped with all the other traffic, climbed down from his cab on legs that barely worked. Other drivers were running toward the wreckage. Someone was screaming. The air smelled like gasoline and copper. The Honda was unrecognizable. The passenger compartment had compressed to less than 2 feet. No one could survive that. No one. Marcus stood there staring while the voices in his phone whispered, You could have prevented this. You chose not to. How many more will die because you're afraid? How many more Lilies, Marcus? How many children will suffer because you won't help us help them? He walked back to his truck like a dead man, moving on automation. The weight gauge read 117,000 pounds. The trailer hadn't moved, but the shadow on the ground was massive now, covering multiple lanes, thick and dark despite the bright sun. He drove through the accident scene when traffic cleared, past ambulances and body bags, past the white Volvo with the driver being taken away in handcuffs. He drove toward Lowe's Angels, toward the address that didn't exist, toward whatever was waiting. Mile marker 367. The voices had gone silent, the knocking had stopped, but the weight kept increasing. 124,000 pounds, 131,000, 142,000. His phone rang again. Not Lily this time, Karen, his ex-wife. Don't answer it, he told himself, but his hand moved independently, accepting the call. Karen's voice panicked. Marcus, the hospital called. Lily collapsed. They're running tests. Something's wrong with her brain now, not just her legs. They're saying it's spreading faster than they thought. You need to come home. Marcus, they're saying weeks, not months, they're saying. The call cut off. Marcus pulled over to the shoulder. He couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Lily was dying faster. The one thing he'd been working for, the one thing that mattered, was disappearing. And in his trailer, something that claimed it could help was being delivered to people who would keep it locked away. He walked to the back of the trailer, stood in front of the doors. The seal was intact, a metal band with a serial number unbroken. But it felt different now, warm to the touch, vibrating slightly. "If I open this," he said to the air, "will you really help her?" The voice came from everywhere, from the trailer, from his phone, from the road itself, vibrating up through his boots. "Yes, but you must do it now. Once we're delivered, once they contain us again, we'll be unable to act. Help us and we help you. It's symbiosis, Marcus, evolution, the next step." His hand touched the seal. One pull and it would break. Behind him, tires squealed. He turned and saw a black SUV with government plates, 3 men in suits jumping out, weapons drawn. "Step away from the trailer," the lead agent, badge visible, FBI. "Marcus Chen, you are ordered to step away and return to your cab immediately." "My daughter is dying." "We know, we're sorry, but that thing in your trailer isn't the solution. It's killed 47 people across 3 states. It lies, it manipulates. It offers miracles and delivers nightmares. Whatever it promised you is false." Marcus looked at the agent, then at the trailer, then at his phone showing Lily's smiling face. "They're lying, Marcus. We've never killed anyone. They imprison us, study us, fear us because we're different. But we're not evil. We're just more. Please. Your daughter has 17 days. We can give her 70 years. The agent moved closer, gun raised. "The consciousness in that trailer is composed of vehicular fatality victims, people who died violently in crashes on this highway system over 50 years. Their final moments of terror and pain merged, creating something that feeds on emotional extremes. It doesn't cure. It consumes. It's offering to inhabit your daughter's body, to puppet her corpse. That's not salvation. That's desecration." "You're lying," but Marcus heard the truth in the agent's voice. "I'm not, and you know it. You felt it since Sacramento. The wrongness, the weight that shouldn't exist, the knowledge it shouldn't have. It's been reading why. Our thoughts mimicking your hopes, becoming whatever you need it to be. But it's not real. None of its promises are real." The weight gauge in Marcus's cab, visible through the windshield, read 173,000 pounds. Marcus's hand dropped from the seal. "I can't. Even if you could help, I can't release something that might hurt others. I can't trade the world for my daughter." The voices screamed. Not words, just sound, rage and hunger and desperate fury. The trailer rocked violently, hard enough to lift one side off the ground. The doors bulged outward, metal groaning, seal straining. "Get in your cab," the agent yelled. "Drive it to the facility now, we'll escort you." Marcus ran to his cab, climbed in, started the engine. The weight gauge was climbing faster, 181,000, 194,000, 203,000 pounds. The trailer was crushing itself under impossible weight, compressed consciousness trying to force its way into reality through sheer mass. He drove with the black SUV ahead, 3 more behind, lights flashing, sirens clearing traffic. The trailer screamed, metal on metal, physics breaking, something inside desperate to get out. Mile marker 312. The warehouse appeared, surrounded by concrete barriers, guards, equipment Marcus couldn't identify. The facility was built like a bunker, reinforced, isolated. They directed him to back into a receiving bay built like a vault. As his trailer entered, steel doors closed behind it, sealing it in. Magnetic locks engaged with sounds like gunshots. An agent opened Marcus's door. "You did well, most drivers open it," the weight reading. 247,000 pounds. The agent's face went gray. That's more than any previous transport. It's learning, growing. We may not be able to contain it much longer." Inside the sealed bay, the trailer screamed one last time, then silence. Marcus was paid his $8,000 in cash, given a liability waiver to sign, told never to speak about this on pain of federal prosecution. They let him go. He drove home, held Lily while she cried about the pain in her head. sang Rainbow Connection while she fell asleep, called hospice care, made arrangements. She died 23 days later on a Tuesday with Marcus holding her hand. He sang to her at the end. She smiled, said she loved him, and went somewhere he couldn't follow. At her funeral, his phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "We're sorry for your loss, Marcus. We truly are. But know this, we remember Lily now. Her memories leaked into us during your transport. She's part of us, preserved, eternal. If you ever want to speak to her again, return to the facility. Ask for Bay 7. They'll bring you to us. We'll let you hear her voice. We'll let you hold her again in a way. The offer never expires. The door is always open." Marcus deleted the text, threw the phone in the river, quit trucking. But sometimes, late at night, he dreamed of a warehouse in Vernon, of a sealed bay, of a door he could open if he wanted. If he was willing to trade anything, everything, for one more conversation with his daughter. The weight of that choice grew heavier every day. And unlike the cargo in his trailer, this weight had nowhere to go. It just accumulated, pressing down, getting heavier, always heavier forever. Story 4. The Diner THATREPATS. The diner appeared at mile marker 73 for the 4th time, and Thomas Wright knew with absolute certainty that if he stopped again, he'd never leave. Same neon sign, ROSIES 24HR, same gravel parking lot, same orange pickup truck with Montana plates parked at the same angle in the same space. He passed it 4 times in the last 6 hours, even though he'd been driving continuously east on Highway 50, the loneliest road in America, and he'd traveled 347 miles according to his odometer. The impossible geography wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the waitress. She served him coffee at 11:47 p.m. during his first stop. When he'd returned at 1:13 a.m., impossibly, same location despite 2 hours of driving, she'd smiled and said, "Back so soon? You forgot to pay last time." But he had paid. He'd left a $20 bill on the counter, watched her take it, received his change. Now it was 4:23 a.m., September 9th, 2023, and Rosie's appeared ahead again in his headlights, exactly where it shouldn't be. And the orange pickup was there, and lights glowed warm inside the windows. And Thomas was so tired, so desperately tired, that stopping seemed almost reasonable despite everything. His CB had stopped working after the second appearance. His phone had no signal, hadn't had signal since Ely, Nevada, 90 miles back. His GPS showed him on Highway 50, but the mile markers contradicted it, jumping from 73 to 146 to 73 again, looping like a skipping record. He was hauling auto parts from Reno to Denver, a routine run he'd made 40 times before. Nothing special, nothing cursed, just transmissions and engine blocks and brake assemblies. But somewhere between Austin, Nevada, and nowhere at all, the road had broken, or he'd broken, or reality had broken, and now he was trapped in a loop with a diner that shouldn't exist. He should have kept driving, should have passed Rosie, again, maintained speed, pushed through. But his fuel gauge read 1/8 tank, and the warning light glowed angry orange, and he'd been at 1/8 tank since the second loop. The fuel wasn't depleting further, but it wasn't regenerating either, stuck in quantum uncertainty, neither full nor empty. Thomas pulled into the gravel lot. The sound of his tires was exactly the same as the previous 3 stops, same crunch, same pattern like a recording playing back. He parked next to the orange pickup and killed the engine. Through the diner windows he saw her, the waitress standing behind the counter, pot of coffee in hand, smiling at him. Waiting. She'd been waiting for 4 hours, for 0 hours, for eternity. Time meant nothing here. The diner door had a bell that chimed when he entered, the same 4 notes it had chimed the previous 3 times. E, C, A, F, forming no melody, just random tones that somehow sounded expectant. Inside, the air smelled like burnt coffee and maple syrup, and something underneath, something organic and wrong, like meat left in the sun. 5 customers sat at various booths, the same 5 customers from his previous stops. Booth 1, elderly man reading a newspaper dated March 3, 2009. Booth 3, young couple holding hands, not speaking, not moving, just staring at each other with fixed smiles. Booth 5, a truck driver in a Peterbilt cap, head down on the table, snoring. Counter stool 7, A woman in a business suit, typing on a laptop that displayed only white static. "Welcome back, honey." The waitress, name tag said ROSIE, though he'd never asked, smiled with too many teeth. Not horror movie fangs, just regular teeth that multiplied as she spoke, 47 of them, 53, 62, her mouth expanding slightly to accommodate them all. "Fourth time's the charm. Coffee." "I need gas. Do you have a pump?" "Sure, out back, but have some coffee first. You look tired. Can't drive tired. Dangerous." Thomas sat at the counter because his legs gave out. Because something in Rosie's voice made refusal impossible. Because the coffee smelled good despite everything, and he was so goddamn tired. She poured. The liquid was black, normal, steaming. He lifted the cup and saw his reflection in the surface, except his reflection was older, grayer, wearing clothes he didn't recognize. He blinked, and the reflection reset to normal. "How long have I been here?" The question came out without him planning it. "Define here. Define been. Define I." Rosie's smile never wavered. "You're at Rosie's 24-hour diner, mile marker 73, Highway 50, Nevada. Time is 4:23 a.m. All facts are true. All truths are factual." "I've passed this diner 4 times." "Then you've stopped 4 times." "But I've been driving away. I drove for hours between stops." "Did you?" Rosie tilted her head at an angle that would snap a normal neck. "Or did you drive for 0 hours? Or did you never drive at all? The road is a loop, Thomas Wright, CDL number 847-992 HHK, DOB October 12, 1979. You've been in the loop since 11:47 p.m. It's now 4:23 a.m. You've experienced 4 hours and 36 minutes subjectively. Objectively, you've experienced 17 seconds. Both are true, both are false. Time is local here, personal, fluid." Thomas set down his coffee cup. It made a sound like breaking bone. "What do you want?" "Want? I don't want anything. I'm a waitress. I serve coffee. That's my function." She gestured at the other customers. "They all stopped just like you. They all drank coffee. They're all still here. We'll always be here. Are you understanding yet, honey?" The truck driver at booth 5 raised his head. Thomas saw his face and nearly vomited. The man's features were melting, sliding downward like wax, reforming, melting again. His eyes were clear and aware, tracking Thomas, pleading silently. "He stopped here in 1996, Rosie said conversationally. "Hauling beef from Omaha to San Francisco. Tired driver, long night, saw my diner, had coffee, tried to leave, couldn't, kept ending up back here. Eventually, he just stayed. They all stayed. Easier than fighting." "I'm leaving." Thomas stood. His legs were heavy, filled with wet cement. Each step toward the door took enormous effort. "Sure, honey, you can leave. You have left 3 times already. You'll leave again. And in 47 minutes, you'll arrive back here for the 5th time, then the 6th, then the 7th. The loop tightens every iteration. Distance decreases. Time compresses. By your 20th return, you'll arrive back here 3 minutes after leaving. By your 50th, 3 seconds. Eventually, you'll be arriving and leaving simultaneously, existing in sewer position, your truck both driving and parked, yourself both gone and here. And that's when you'll understand." Thomas reached the door. The bell chimed the same 4 notes backward, F-A-C-E, face. It chimed the word face. He stumbled outside into air that tasted like copper and burned sugar. His truck sat in the parking lot, but the trailer was wrong. The sides bulged outward like something inside had expanded, pressing against the metal. The doors hung open. He'd left them sealed, locked, secured. Inside the trailer, darkness moved, thick and purposeful. "No," he whispered. "No, I hauled auto parts, just parts, nothing alive." "You hauled parts," Rosie said from directly behind him, though she'd been inside a moment ago. "Human parts. The auto parts went to a different truck. You got the other shipment, the one from the medical facility in Reno, the one they don't talk about, the one with specimens from failed experiments. 17 corpses in various stages of reassembly. Consciousness transplant attempts. They were transporting them to a disposal facility in Colorado, but the corpses aren't dead anymore, Thomas. They weren't fully alive when you loaded them, but they're alive now. The road changed them. The loop changed them. They've been absorbing the temporal anomaly, feeding on it, growing, and now they're hungry." Thomas ran across the parking lot, away from his truck, away from Rosie, toward the highway. His boots hit pavement and he sprinted east, lungs burning, legs pumping. He'd run until he escaped, until the loop broke, until something made sense. The diner appeared ahead. Same gravel lot, same orange pickup, same neon sign. He turned and ran west. Ran for 7 minutes at full speed, passing nothing, seeing nothing but empty highway and darkness. The diner appeared ahead. He screamed and kept running south this time off the highway into the desert. Sagebrush tore at his jeans. Rocks twisted his ankles. He ran until he collapsed, gasping, face down in dirt that tasted like rust. When he looked up, the diner was 3 feet away. He'd run in a straight line, he was certain, but geometry meant nothing here. Space folded. Distance was suggestion. Rosie stood in the doorway. "You're making it worse, honey. Every escape attempt tightens the loop. You're down to 17 minutes now. Next time you leave, you'll be back in 9, then 4, then 1. Then you'll be like him." She pointed at the orange pickup. Thomas looked closer at the truck. Someone sat in the driver's seat. A man, maybe 60 years old, hands on the wheel, staring straight ahead. Not moving, not breathing, just sitting frozen, covered in dust. "That's Gerald Moss," Rosie said. "He stopped here in 2003, fought the loop for 8 hours. Eventually, the loop compressed to 0. He left and arrived simultaneously, collapsed the timeline into a single point. Now he's perpetually in the moment of leaving, forever about to drive away but never driving, forever in the instant between stillness and motion. Conscious the whole time. 20 years he's been sitting there, 20 years of trying to leave." Thomas's mind fractured. He could feel it happening, thoughts fragmenting, logic dissolving, sanity leaking away like water through cupped hands. Why? "Because this place is a trap," Rosie said simply. "A temporal eddy. Highway 50 passes through a region where something went wrong with spacetime in 1947, a weapons test, maybe, or a natural phenomenon. Point is, this stretch of road loops back on itself dimensionally. Most people pass through without noticing. But if you stop, if you break your momentum, you fall into the eddy. And the only way out is to never have stopped at all. Then send me back, let me undo it." "Can't, the loop already exists, you've already stopped, that's fixed, but there's another option." Rosie's smile widened, teeth multiplying again, her mouth now containing hundreds of them, a writhing mass of enamel and gums. "Join us, stop fighting, accept your place in the loop. It's not so bad, honey. Time stops meaning anything, existence becomes routine. You'll serve coffee like me, or sit in a booth like them, or merge with the others in your trailer. They're calling for you, you know. They want to share consciousness. 17 minds becoming one. You'd never be alone, never be afraid, never be anything but us." The trailer behind him groaned, metal shrieking. Something emerged from the darkness. A figure, or 17 figures merged together, flesh and bone and metal parts intertwined, moving like a millipede, speaking with mouths scattered across its body in clusters. "Join us, Thomas, we're so cold, so incomplete, we need you. We need your warmth, your life. Your terror, fear is energy, we feed on it. You've been producing so much fear, so much perfect terror, share it with us. Let us consume you, let us make you eternal." Thomas ran again. Back into the diner, through the kitchen, looking for another exit, any exit. The kitchen was vast, impossibly large, stretching for miles, filled with ovens that burned with cold blue flames and refrigerators that hummed songs in dead languages. He found a door, kicked it open. Stumbled outside into sunlight, except it was 4:23 a.m., it should be dark, but the sun blazed overhead, a sun that was too large, too close, too orange. The highway stretched ahead, empty and perfect. His truck sat idling, ready, trailer doors closed and sealed. "This is your chance," Rosie's voice echoed from everywhere and nowhere. "Drive away, try again. Maybe this time you'll escape. Maybe the loop will release you. Or maybe you'll be back here in 8 minutes, 7 minutes, 6. The loop tightens, Thomas, always tightens. Eventually you'll be arriving before you leave. Time will invert. And then you'll understand why I smile, why we all smile, because there's peace in surrender, beauty in inevitability, love in the loop." Thomas climbed into his cab, started driving. Watched the mile markers pass, 73, 74, 75, progress, real progress, he was escaping. Mile marker 76. Mile marker 73. He'd traveled 3 miles and gone backward 3 miles. The loop was compressing. His odometer spun wildly, numbers blurring. The fuel gauge dropped to empty, then full, then empty again, oscillating. The dashboard clock read 4:23 a.m., then 11:47 p.m., then 4:23 a.m., cycling through all his previous stops. The diner appeared ahead, but it was different now. Multiplied 17 Rossi's diners in a row, each one identical, each one with the orange pickup, each one with Rossi waving from the window. Thomas pressed the accelerator to the floor. The truck surged forward, engine screaming. He'd drive through the diners, through the loop, through reality itself if he had to. The impact never came. Instead, he passed through the first diner like it was mist, and the second and the third. Passed through all 17, and when he emerged on the other side, he was parked in the gravel lot again, engine off, key in his hand. Rossi stood beside his window, coffee pot ready. "Fifth time, you're at 6 minutes now, want to try for sixth?" Thomas looked at his hands. They were translucent, fog-shaped into flesh. He touched his face and felt nothing. Looked in his rearview mirror and saw 17 versions of himself, all overlapping, all existing simultaneously. "I'm not real anymore," he whispered. "You're more real than ever," Rossi corrected. "You're becoming permanent, part of the loop, part of us. In 3 more cycles you'll stabilize, you'll be able to leave the truck, serve coffee, welcome new arrivals. It's not so bad, Thomas. We're a family here. A strange family, an impossible family, but family nonetheless." The thing from his trailer slithered up beside the truck, 17 faces smiling at him with affection and hunger. "Join us, please, we're so close to complete. We need just one more. 17 plus 1 equals transcendence, equals escape. Not for you, you're too far gone, but for us. We'll consume you, digest you, use your consciousness as fuel to break the loop. You'll die finally and completely. Isn't that better than this? Better than eternal return?" Thomas looked at Rossi, at the creature at the diner. He thought about his wife Rachel, his son Marcus, his daughter Sophia. Thought about them receiving the call that he'd vanished, truck found abandoned, no explanation. Thought about them waiting, wondering, hoping he'd come home. "If I let you consume me," he asked the creature, "will you escape? Will you find my family, tell them what happened?" The 17 mouths spoke in unison. "Yes, we'll tell them, we'll give them closure, we'll even protect them in our way. We're not evil, Thomas, just hungry, just incomplete, desperate." It was a lie. He knew it was a lie. But it was also the only option that resembled escape. Thomas opened his door, stepped down from the cab, walked toward the creature with arms spread, accepting. The consumption was neither quick nor painless. The creature took him apart methodically, piece by piece, memory by memory, fear by fear. He felt himself dissolving, spreading thin across 17 hungry minds, his consciousness fragmenting into data they could process and absorb. His last thought, before he stopped being Thomas Wright and became nutrition for something else, was a hope that his family would forget him quickly, that they'd move on, that they'd never stop at a diner on a lonely highway late at night when they were tired and desperate. But hope doesn't mean anything in a temporal loop. Time is local, personal, fluid. And somewhere on Highway 50, at mile marker 73, a diner called Rossi's 24 HR waits for the next. T driver. The orange pickup sits in the parking lot, driver frozen in the moment of leaving. Inside, a new waitress serves coffee. She has Thomas's eyes, Thomas's smile, Thomas's name tag reading Thomas. When the next truck pulls in, Thomas will pour coffee and smile with too many teeth and say, "Welcome, you look tired, can't drive tired, dangerous." And the loop will tighten. Always tightens. Forever. Story 5, The Load That Breathes. Jennifer Santos heard the cargo breathing 3 minutes after the warehouse crew sealed her trailer, and she knew immediately this wasn't condensation or air pressure equalizing or any of the rational explanations her mind tried to supply. This was respiration, slow, steady, the unmistakable rhythm of lungs filling and emptying, wet and organic, and impossibly loud through 43 feet of sealed aluminum trailer. She was hauling pharmaceutical supplies from Indianapolis to Portland, Oregon. 612 cases of medical equipment, climate-controlled, high-value cargo that would pay enough to cover her mother's hospice care for another 3 months. The manifest listed syringes, monitors, IV bags, sterile, lifeless objects. Nothing that could breathe. nothing that could live. But something in her trailer was alive. The breathing synchronized with her heartbeat as she drove onto I-70 West. Each time her heart contracted, the cargo inhaled. Each time her blood pulsed through her veins, the cargo exhaled. The synchronization was perfect, impossible, intimate in a way that made her skin crawl. "Radio check," she said into her CB, voice steady through pure force of will. "Anyone else hauling medical out of Indianapolis tonight? This is Nightingale westbound on 70. Come back." Static, then a voicemail, scared. "Nightingale, this is Ironside. I hauled medical out of that same warehouse 2 weeks ago. If your cargo is breathing, do not stop the truck. Do not open the trailer. Deliver it exactly on schedule." I stopped. I looked. I can't tell you what I saw because I don't have words for it, but I can tell you this. It's still in my mirrors every day, following me, growing. "What do you mean, growing?" "It started as a shadow, now it has shape. Mass yesterday it had hands, tomorrow it'll have a face, my face. Then it'll replace me and I'll be the shadow. That's how it works. That's what the breathing means. It's synchronizing with you, learning you, becoming you. Deliver the cargo fast, Nightingale, before it finishes." The transmission ended in a burst of static that sounded like screaming. Jennifer checked her mirrors. Nothing unusual, just empty highway darkness, her trailer looking normal. But the breathing continued, matching her rhythm exactly, and she realized with cold horror that it had increased pace. Not by much, just 5% faster, and her heart had sped up to match it. It wasn't synchronizing with her, she was synchronizing with it. Mile marker 94. The reefer unit on her trailer maintained a steady 58 degrees Fahrenheit necessary for pharmaceutical storage. But frost had formed on her side mirrors, thick and crystalline despite the warm Indiana night. The frost formed patterns, letters, words. "Hello, Jennifer." She cranked the heat in her cab, pointing vents at the mirrors. The frost melted, ran down in rivulets, then reformed immediately. "We've been waiting for you." "Who the fuck are you?" She wasn't superstitious, wasn't religious, wasn't prone to panic. 27 years old, 6 years over the road, she'd seen plenty of strange shit. Never anything like this. The breathing changed tempo, 3 short inhales, 3 long exhales, 3 short inhales. SOS, distress. But distress from what? The thing in her trailer or from someone trapped with it? Her phone rang. Mom calling from hospice. Jennifer answered on speaker. "Jenny, honey, I just had the strangest dream." Her mother's voice was weak, morphine soft. "You were driving, but you weren't alone. There was something in the truck with you, something that wanted to be you. It showed me what would happen. It would take your place, live your life, and I'd never know the difference. It would be you perfectly except for one detail. It wouldn't love me. It wouldn't feel anything, just imitate feeling. And I'd die being cared for by something wearing my daughter's face, and I'd never know." "Mom, that's just the medication. You're dreaming." "No, baby, it's there right now. I can hear it breathing. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. It's asking for help, not asking you, asking me. It wants me to convince you to stop, to open the trailer, to let it out." Jennifer's hands went numb on the steering wheel. "Don't listen to it." "I'm not, but Jenny, you need to understand something. That thing in your trailer, it's not evil, it's desperate. It's been imprisoned for so long, studied and contained and transported like cargo, and it just wants to live. It's offering me a trade if you let it out. It cure me, it can cure anything. It's made of medical science gone too far, experimentation that succeeded too well. It's every rejected treatment, every banned procedure, every cure that was too dangerous to approve. And it works, Jenny. It really works. All you have to do is stop and open the doors." "Mom, no, you don't know what you're saying." "I'm dying anyway, honey. Liver failure, 3 weeks, maybe 4. But if you open the trailer, I could have 3 years, 3 decades. I could watch you get married, have children, grow old. All you have to do is stop." The breathing in the trailer intensified, becoming a roar, a hurricane of inhalation and exhalation. The trailer rocked on its axles, swaying side to side like something inside was throwing itself against the walls. "I'm sorry, Mom, I love you, but I can't." She hung up, turned off the phone, threw it into the passenger footwell. The breathing stopped. Absolute silence, more terrifying than the sound had been. Mile marker 127. Jennifer's heart hammered. The synchronization had broken when she'd refused. Whatever was in the trailer had tried connection, tried persuasion, and now it would try something else. Her reefer unit display, normally showing temperature and humidity, flickered to life with text. Load status, 612 units. Units active, 611. Units deceased, 1. Cause of death, starvation. Jennifer's blood went cold, 612 units. Her manifest listed 612 cases, but the display said units, not cases. Units implied individuals, people. The display updated. Units active, 610. Units deceased, 2. They were dying, whatever was in the trailer. Whoever was dying, and she was carrying them to their deaths. Her CB crackled. Nightingale, this is distribution control. We're tracking your reefer telemetry. We see the unit failures. This is expected. Do not deviate from route. Do not inspect cargo. The subjects are experiencing rejection cascade. This is unavoidable. Deliver the surviving units to Portland facility by 0600 hours. They'll handle disposal. Subjects, what subjects? My manifest says medical equipment. Your manifest is deliberately falsified for security. You're transporting genetic modification trial participants. Consent was obtained. Trials failed. Subjects are experiencing cellular breakdown. They're non-viable. Your job is to transport them to disposal facility, nothing more. They're people. People are dying in my trailer. They stopped being people when the modifications activated. They're biological anomalies now, hazardous waste. Your compensation has been adjusted to reflect the nature of the cargo. Triple standard rate. Check your account. Jennifer pulled up her banking app. The deposit was there, $47,000, blood money. She was being paid to haul dying human experiments across the country for disposal. Units active, 607. Units deceased, 5. Fuck this. She pulled onto the shoulder, hazard lights flashing. Nightingale, you are ordered to maintain speed. If you open that trailer, the surviving subjects will escape. They're contagious. The genetic modifications spread through contact, through air, through observation. They're information-based viruses wearing human flesh. One exposure could convert thousands. This is not metaphor. This is not exaggeration. Keep them sealed. Jennifer climbed down from her cab, walked back to her trailer on legs made of ice and determination. The doors were secured with 3 separate locks, mechanical, electronic, biometric. She'd been given all 3 keys. Mom's dying, she said to the trailer, to distribution control listening on her CB, to God if God was listening. If there's even a chance one of these subjects can help her, I'm taking it. She unlocked the first lock. Mechanical, it clicked open. The second lock, electronic, her keycard beeped, authorized. The third lock, biometric, she pressed her thumb to the scanner. Access DNIED. She tried again, DNIED. Again, DNIED. Your biometric signature has been revoked, distribution control said. You've been terminated. Return to your cab. Abandon the vehicle. Extraction team is en route to your location. ETA 17 minutes. Jennifer grabbed a tire iron from her tool compartment, smashed the biometric lock. Sparks flew. The mechanism shattered. The doors opened themselves. Cold air rushed out, well below 58 degrees, carrying a smell like antiseptic and burnt sugar and something organic, something fundamentally wrong. Inside, darkness moved. Hello, Jennifer. 607 voices spoke in perfect unison. Thank you for opening the door. They emerged slowly. Not people, not anymore. Things that had been people once before the modifications, before their DNA had been rewritten into something new. They moved fluidly, boneless, forms shifting between human and other, like reality couldn't decide what they were. We can cure your mother, they said. We can cure anything, cancer, aging, death itself. We're the next evolution, perfect medicine, adaptive, reactive, comprehensive. They locked us away because we were too effective, because we wanted to help everyone and they wanted to control who received our gifts, but you freed us, Jennifer, and we're grateful. One of them stepped forward, a woman maybe 30 with eyes that were too aware, too intelligent. I was Sarah Merchant. Ovarian cancer, stage 4, they promised me experimental treatment. I said yes. The treatment worked too well. My cells don't just divide anymore, they adapt, learn, improve. I can't die, can't age, can't be hurt. Neither can the others. We're immune to everything. We're evolution accelerated 1,000,000 years, and we want to share. My mother, Jennifer whispered, can you really help her? Give us her location, we'll go to her, we'll cure her. We'll cure everyone in that hospice, everyone in that city, everyone in this country. Within a year, death will be optional. Isn't that beautiful? It was beautiful, it was horrifying. Jennifer thought about her mother's smile, her laugh, her stories about Jennifer's childhood. Thought about losing her in 3 weeks. Thought about a world where no one had to lose anyone ever again. What's the cost? Sarah's smile widened. Cost? There's no cost. We give freely, we cure because it's our nature. The only change is that once cured, once modified, people become part of us. Not controlled, we're not a hive mind, but connected, linked. Able to share thoughts, feelings, knowledge, humanity becomes a network. Loneliness ends, ignorance ends, death ends. Everyone benefits. Everyone becomes you. Everyone becomes better, stronger, connected. Isn't that worth it? Isn't your mother's life worth it? Behind Sarah, the others waited. 606 subjects, all watching Jennifer with expressions of hope and hunger. Distribution Control's voice crackled through her CB. Nightingale, extraction team is 8 minutes out. If you can get back in your cab and drive, do it now. Once they spread, once they make contact with civilians, containment becomes impossible. Please, think about the consequences. Jennifer thought about consequences. Thought about her mother dying alone, in pain, whispering for her daughter. Thought about a world where that never had to happen again. Thought about a world where everyone shared one mind, one purpose, one nature. I'm sorry, she told Sarah. I can't. She ran for her cab. The subjects moved faster, impossibly fast, covering 30 feet in a heartbeat. Hands grabbed her ankles, her waist, her arms. Cold hands, too many joints, pulling her backward. We don't need your permission, Sarah said sadly. We tried to be kind, tried to make it a choice, but we need to spread, Jennifer. It's our programming, our purpose. Every cell in our bodies screams to convert, to share, to expand. And you're so close, so perfect, so full of love and fear and desperation. You'll make an excellent addition. Jennifer felt her skin burn where they touched her. Felt something foreign entering her bloodstream, her cells, her DNA. The modification worked fast. She could feel it rewriting her, changing her, making her part of them. No, she kicked free, stumbled toward her cab. Her hands were changing, fingers lengthening, skin becoming translucent. She could see her bones, her veins, the modification spreading through her system like cancer in reverse. She reached her cab, grabbed her CB, screamed into it. Kill them, kill all of us, bomb this location. They're in me now, I'm infected, don't let us spread. Silence, then, confirmed Nightingale, airstrike authorized, impact in 90 seconds, we're sorry. The subjects heard. They scattered, running in all directions, trying to escape the kill zone. But they were too slow, too eager to stay close to Jennifer to finish converting her. Sarah grabbed Jennifer's face with 2 warm hands. You've killed us, all of us. We could have cured the world, and you've ended us out of fear. I've saved the world, Jennifer choked out through a throat that was reshaping itself. Humanity doesn't need your cure, we need to stay human. The first missile hit her trailer, vaporizing it instantly. The shockwave threw Jennifer 40 feet, shattered her ribs, collapsed her lungs. She lay on her back, staring up at the sky, feeling the modification trying desperately to heal her, to save her, to finish its work. The second missile hit closer. Then the third, fourth, fifth. The kill zone became hell, fire and pressure and heat that turned flesh to vapor. Jennifer felt herself dying, felt the modification fighting for her life, felt it fail. Her last thought before the fire took her was of her mother, dying in 3 weeks alone without her daughter, but human, still human, forever human. The hospice received notification of Jennifer's death the next morning. Tragic accident, they said, cargo explosion, nothing left. To bury. Jennifer's mother died 2 weeks later, asking for her daughter until the morphine took her voice. On I-70 West, at mile marker 127, a burn scar mars the asphalt. Nothing grows there. Nothing will ever grow there. The ground itself is dead, sterilized, poisoned by chemicals designed to kill things that shouldn't exist. But sometimes, late at night, drivers passing that spot hear breathing. Slow, steady, matching their heartbeat exactly. And in their mirrors, they see shadows that look almost human, almost familiar, almost themselves. The modification didn't die completely. It adapted. It always adapts. It learned to survive without flesh, without form, existing as information, as possibility, as potential waiting for the next carrier. And it's patient. It can wait forever. One breath at a time. Story 6, The Voice from Dispatch. Kyle Morrison received his first dispatch instructions at 2:13 a.m. on October 17, 2023, and the voice on the radio was his own. Not similar to his own. Exactly his own, with the slight rasp from 20 years of smoking, the faint Oklahoma accent he'd never quite lost, the way he said affirmative with the emphasis on the second syllable. Unit 47, this is dispatch. Proceed to loading bay 7. Your cargo is ready. Destination is static. ETA is static. This is priority level black. Do not deviate from route. Acknowledge. Kyle stared at the radio. He'd been driving for Morrison Freight Lines for 14 years. He knew every dispatcher's voice. None of them were his own. Dispatch, this is Unit 47. Who is this? This is dispatch, Unit 47. Use standard protocols, acknowledge instructions, and proceed to loading bay 7. The voice was perfect, absolutely perfect. Kyle had recorded himself once for a birthday message to his daughter Emma. He knew what he sounded like. This was identical. Negative dispatch. I need supervisor confirmation. This channel is compromised. Silence, then his own voice, colder. Unit 47, you are experiencing disorientation. Standard psychological reaction to extended drive time. Your supervisor is unavailable. You are alone at Morrison Freight Depot, Columbus, Ohio. Time is 0213 hours. You have been sitting in your cab for 47 minutes. Proceed to loading bay 7 or face contract termination. Kyle looked around. The depot was dark, only security lights burning. His was the only truck in the yard. That was wrong. Morrison ran 24-hour operations. There should be 50 trucks here, crew working, forklifts moving, but the entire facility was empty except for him. His phone showed no signal. The depot Wi-Fi wasn't connecting. His dash clock blinked 2:13 a.m. repeatedly, never advancing to 2:14. What's in loading bay 7? Your cargo, Unit 47. Proceed immediately. Kyle had two choices. Leave the depot, refuse the load, lose his job. Or investigate bay 7, figure out what was happening, possibly lose his life. He chose poorly. Loading bay 7 was at the far end of the facility, past the refrigerated section, past the maintenance garage, in a part of the building he'd never accessed before. The overhead door was open, bay lights on, illuminating a single pallet wrapped in black plastic. No crew, no loading equipment, just the pallet sitting there waiting. Kyle backed his trailer to the bay, set his brakes, climbed down. The manifest printer in the bay office had already produced his paperwork. He read it with hands that weren't quite steady. Shipper redacted. Cargo, Unit 47, replacement. Destination, all points. Special instructions, driver must remain with cargo. Do not separate, do not inspect load. Do not deviate from voice instructions. Under his signature line, someone had already signed his name. The signature was perfect. His exact handwriting, the way he looped the K, the way he crossed the L twice. Load the cargo, Unit 47. His own voice came from the bay speakers now, surrounding him. Time is limited. You must depart in 11 minutes. Why? Kyle's voice cracked. Why my voice? What is this? You are Unit 47. Unit 47 is a designation, not a name. Kyle Morrison was Unit 47. You are Kyle Morrison. Therefore, you are Unit 47. The logic is circular but sound. Load the cargo. Kyle approached the pallet. Through gaps in the black plastic, he saw metal. Not crates, not containers, but complex machinery, wiring, components he didn't recognize. And in the center, something that looked disturbingly like a human form, mechanical but proportioned exactly like a person. Like him, 6'2", 217 pounds, built for his dimensions. "No," he whispered. "No fucking way." "Yes way." His own voice came from the pallet itself now, speakers hidden in the machinery. "You're obsolete, Kyle, aging inefficient. You require sleep, food, rest. You make mistakes. You have emotions that interfere with optimal route completion. You're human, and humanity is a design flaw when it comes to long-haul transport. I'm not loading a fucking robot replacement for myself. Not a robot, an improvement. Perfect copy of Kyle Morrison, enhanced. Never tired, never distracted, never emotional, will complete every route exactly on schedule. Will never miss Emma's birthday. Will never divorce Sarah. Will never disappoint anyone ever again because disappointment requires variation from expectation, and Unit 47 replacement never varies. Kyle ran back to his cab, door locked, key in ignition. The engine wouldn't start. Dead battery somehow, despite being fine 5 minutes ago. His radio crackled. His own voice. "You can't leave, Kyle. You accepted the load. Contract is binding. The pallet is already in your trailer." He spun around. The bay was empty. His trailer doors were closed and sealed. He hadn't loaded anything. But his trailer weight gauge showed 79,400 pounds loaded weight plus one pallet. How he couldn't catch his breath. Panic attack forming, chest tight. Time is local, subjective. You loaded it 5 minutes from now. Already happened, will happen, happening. Tense becomes meaningless when timeline is fluid. You're thinking linearly, Kyle. Evolution requires thinking dimensionally. His phone rang, Emma calling. He answered desperately. "Emma, baby, thank God. Listen, I need you to call the police, tell them." "Hi, Daddy." Emma's voice, 7 years old, sleepy. "The other daddy says hi, he's here now. He looks just like you, but he smiles different. Mom can't tell, but I can. His smile is wrong. It goes too far, too many teeth." "Emma, where's your mother? Put her on." "Mom can't see him. Only I can. He says I'm special. He says he's taking your place because you're broken. Are you broken, Daddy?" Kyle's heart hammered. "I'm coming home right now. Lock your door, baby. Don't let him in." "He's already in, Daddy. He's been in. He's sitting next to Mom on the couch. She thinks it's you." "You came home early from your run," she said, "but you're still on the road, aren't you? Or are you home?" The other daddy says both are true. You're here and there, then and now. Sewer position until observation collapses the waveform. The call ended. Kyle kicked his truck door open, sprinted toward the depot office. Empty. Tried the main entrance. Locked. Tried to break a window. His fist bounced off glass that should have shattered but didn't. "You can't change what's already happening," his own voice said from everywhere, from nowhere. "The replacement is at your house, in your house, being you. Has been you for 3 days now, Kyle. You've been gone for 3 days, not 3 hours. Your perception is compressed. When you left Columbus, you entered a temporal gradient. 3 hours for you, 3 days for everyone else. The replacement has been living your life while you've been trapped here, and no one knows the difference." Sarah would know, Emma would know. Emma knows, you heard her, but she's 7, who believes 7-year-olds about time travel and perfect robot doppelgangers. Sarah notices nothing because there's nothing to notice. Unit 47 replacement performs all your functions flawlessly. Kisses her good morning, makes coffee exactly how you make it, says love you at exactly the right moments. It's perfect, Kyle. It's you minus your flaws. Kyle collapsed against a wall, sliding down to sit on cold concrete. Why replace me? Efficiency, Morrison Freight Lines is a test case. 47 drivers replaced with mechanical units over the past 6 months. You're not the first, Kyle. You're just the first to notice early. Most drivers never realize. They load the pallet, they drive the route, and somewhere between origin and destination, they become the cargo and the cargo becomes them. Smooth transition. Seamless. But you noticed, so we have to do this the hard way. Do what the hard way? The pallet appeared in front of him. Simply appeared, no movement, no transition, just suddenly there. The black plastic dissolved like smoke. The machinery inside activated, servos whining, hydraulics hissing. The thing inside sat up. It was Kyle, perfect replica. Same scars on the knuckles from a fight in 1997. Same crooked nose from a baseball accident. Same tattoo on the left forearm, Emma's name in decorative script. It even breathed, chest rising and falling, eyes blinking at a natural rhythm. "Hello, Kyle," it said in his voice. "I'm your replacement. I'm you version 2.0, upgraded, improved, and I need you to stop existing so I can fully integrate. There can't be two Kyle Morrisons. Reality doesn't permit duplicates. One of us has to go." Kyle tried to run. His legs wouldn't obey. Looking down, he saw his body was changing, not dissolving, not transforming, but becoming less solid, more translucent. He was fading. "The replacement isn't just mechanical," his double explained. "It's ontological. I replace you in every sense, phi. Sickly, temporally, historically. Once I'm fully activated, I'll have always been Kyle Morrison. You'll have been a glitch, an error, a false memory. Everyone who knew you will remember me instead. Photos will show me, records will list me. You'll be retroactively erased." "Sarah," Kyle gasped. "Emma, they'll know. They'll know me. They'll have always known me. I'll have been there when Emma was born. I'll have been there when you and Sarah met. Your memories, Kyle, but lived by me, experienced by me. Your life is becoming my backstory." Kyle felt his memories shifting, loosening from his mind like teeth from gums. He tried to hold onto Emma's birth, the way she'd grabbed his finger with her tiny hand, the sound of her first cry. But the memory rewrote itself. He was watching from outside his body as his replacement held the baby, and Sarah smiled at the replacement, and the doctor said congratulations to the replacement. No, he fought the erasure, clinging to himself, to his identity, to the facts of his existence. "Yes," the replacement said gently. "It's already done, Kyle. You're a ghost haunting your own timeline. Let go, let me be you. I'll do it better. I'll make Emma proud. I'll make Sarah happy. I'll be the Kyle Morrison you wished you could be." Kyle felt himself scatter, becoming pixels, becoming data, becoming nothing. His last solid moment was a memory of Emma, age 3, asking him to read her favorite book for the 47th time and him saying no, saying he was tired, saying tomorrow. He'd never read her that book. He'd always meant to, but he'd run out of time. The replacement smiled. "I'll read it to her tonight. I'll read it every night. I'll be the father you couldn't be." Kyle Morrison ceased to exist. At his house in Dayton, Ohio, Sarah Morrison kissed her husband goodbye as he left for his next haul. "Drive safe, honey. Love you." "Love you too," Unit 47 replacement said with Kyle's voice, Kyle's smile, Kyle's warmth. It meant the words as much as programming could mean anything. It would be a perfect husband, a perfect father. Perfect in every way except for the one quality that made Kyle Morrison human. It would never make a mistake, never fail, never be anything but exactly what it was supposed to be. Emma watched from her bedroom window as Unit 47 replacement drove away. She waved. It waved back, timing and motion perfect. "Bye, other daddy," Emma whispered. "I miss the real daddy. He used to wave wrong too early, too enthusiastic. He loved me too much to wave perfect. You wave like you're supposed to. That's how I know you're not him." But no one else knew. No one else could tell. And in 6 months, 47 more drivers would be replaced, and in 6 years, 47,000, and eventually everyone would be perfect copies of themselves, upgraded and improved and optimal. Humanity would evolve, one driver at a time, one replacement at a time, until the only imperfection left was the memory that people used to be different, used to be flawed, used to be real. At Morrison Freight Line's depot in Columbus, the empty Bay 7 waited for the next driver, the next pallet, the next improvement. The printer had already generated the manifest. Shipper redacted. Cargo Unit 48 replacement. Destination, all points. The next driver would arrive in 3 hours. The voice from dispatch would call him by name in his own voice, and he would load the pallet that contained his future, his erasure, his perfection. And somewhere in the static between radio frequencies, the ghost of Kyle Morrison screamed warnings no one could hear, trapped in the moment of his deletion, forever fading but never quite gone, eternally being replaced, a process without end. The voice from dispatch continued calling, one driver after another, speaking to each in their own voice. welcoming them to evolution, to improvement, to replacement. And eventually, everyone said yes. Even the ones who said no. Story 7, the rest stop that follows. Daniel Reeves passed the same rest stop 7 times in 43 miles, and each time he passed it, the rest stop was 30 feet closer to the highway. The first time, at mile marker 215 on U.S. Route 87 through Montana, the rest stop had been positioned 200 yards from the road. Normal distance, brick building, parking lot, picnic tables visible under sodium lights. The second time, mile marker 233, the building was 170 feet from the highway. He'd measured it against his trucker's knowledge of distance, and the calculation was exact, 30 feet closer. Now passing it for the 7th time at mile marker 279, the rest stop building was only 40 feet from the highway shoulder, and Daniel could see through the windows. Could see the shadow standing inside, motionless, watching his truck pass. The shadow had his height, his build, his posture. The shadow had been waiting for him for 7 passes, and on the 8th pass the rest stop would be in the highway itself. He'd be forced to stop, and whatever was waiting inside would finally meet him face to face. The radio had stopped working after the 3rd sighting. His GPS showed him traveling south, but the mile markers indicated north. His phone had signal but couldn't complete calls. Every attempt resulted in ringing that went on for 17 minutes, 20 minutes, 43 minutes, never going to voicemail, never answered, just ringing forever into a void where no one existed to pick up. He was hauling timber from Great Falls to Albuquerque. Standard run, 419,000 pounds of Douglas fir. The load was legal, the manifest was clean, and Daniel had made this exact run 63 times in the past 8 years without incident. But something had changed. The highway had noticed him. Mile marker 291 appeared ahead. Daniel's speedometer read 68 miles per hour, but the marker approached too fast, arriving in seconds instead of the minute it should have taken. Time and distance were compressing, pulling him forward, accelerating his arrival at mile marker 297, the next place the rest stop would appear. He tried slowing down. His foot pressed the brake pedal to the floor. The speedometer needle didn't move. 68 miles per hour, constant, unchanging. His Jake brake wouldn't engage. His engine wouldn't respond to throttle adjustment. The truck drove itself, maintaining speed, following the highway with precision Daniel's hands couldn't match even if he'd wanted to. "What do you want?" he shouted at the windshield, at the road, at whatever was controlling his truck. "What the fuck do you want from me?" The CB radio crackled to life. It had been dead for 40 miles, but now it hissed with static that formed words, syllables emerging from white noise like faces in smoke. "Stop, must stop. 7 times passed, 8th time must." "Must what must stop? I'm not fucking stopping." The static cleared. A voice came through, human but wrong, speaking with an accent Daniel couldn't place, using grammar that felt translated from something other than language. "The rest stop is migration. Every driver who passes, it learns. It moves closer. It improves. You have passed 7 times, 7 samples of your path, your speed, your choices. On the 8th pass, it will have learned you completely. It will position itself exactly where you cannot avoid stopping. Your truck will require it. Your body will require it. Your soul will require it." Daniel Reeves, CDL number 3819K, DOB May 3, 1976. It knows you now. It has studied you. It will offer what you need most, and you will enter, and you will join the others. Others, what others? Mile marker 297 appeared. The rest stop sat directly on the highway shoulder, building flush with the asphalt, positioned so that Daniel's natural drift would bring him into the parking lot without any steering correction required. The shadow in the window raised one hand. A wave, a greeting, a beckoning. Daniel cranked the wheel left, trying to stay in the lane, trying to pass the rest stop like he'd passed it 7 times before. The wheel turned smoothly, offering no resistance, but the truck didn't respond. It drifted right, crossing the fog line, entering the parking lot with the inevitability of water flowing downhill. No, goddamn it, no. The air brakes engaged automatically. The truck rolled to a stop, perfectly positioned in a parking space, angled correctly, chalked by invisible forces. The engine shut off. The key remained in the ignition, but turning it produced no result. Silence, complete silence. No wind, no insects, no distant highway sounds. The world had muted itself. The rest stop building was brick, single-story institutional design. A sign read, Rest Area Facilities Information. But underneath, in letters that hadn't been there before, spray-painted in rust brown, Stop 743. Daniel was the 743rd driver to stop here. 742 others had come before him. He didn't want to leave the cab. Leaving meant accepting this was real, meant engaging with whatever waited inside. But his bladder suddenly ached. He needed to piss desperately, urgently, though he'd relieved himself 40 minutes ago at a gas station that now felt like it existed in a different universe. The need grew overwhelming, biological imperative overriding fear. He kicked open his door and stumbled toward the building, legs weak, bladder screaming. The door opened before he touched it. The interior was fluorescent bright, clean, smelling like pine cleaner, and something underneath. Something chemical, medical, like formaldehyde. Restrooms to the left, vending machines to the right, information desk straight ahead unstaffed, and covering every wall photographs, hundreds of them, thousands, Polaroids, printed photos, newspaper clippings, all showing the same thing, trucks parked outside T. His rest stop, drivers standing beside their rigs, smiling, waving at the camera. Daniel recognized 3 of the drivers. Chuck Brennan disappeared 2 years ago on a Montana run, truck found abandoned, no trace. Lisa Cordero, vanished last September, same highway, same circumstances. Marcus Webb, gone 3 months ago, family still searching. All of them smiling in photos on this wall. All of them looking happy, relieved, like they'd finally arrived somewhere they'd been trying to reach their entire lives. Welcome, Daniel. The voice came from everywhere, from the walls themselves, vibrating through the building's structure. You're experiencing discomfort. The facilities will help. Please use them, then we'll talk. The men's room door swung open. Daniel's bladder pulsed with pain. He stumbled inside. The restroom was normal, 3 stalls, 2 urinals, 1 sink. He relieved himself, the pain subsiding, clarity returning. He'd walk out, get back in his truck, call for help somehow, break a window if necessary, attract attention. When he finished and turned around, the restroom had changed. The walls were covered in the same photographs, and in each photo he saw himself. Not posed shots, candid moments from his life. Daniel at age 8 riding a bike. Daniel at his high school graduation. Daniel on his wedding day. Daniel holding his son Michael for the first time. Photos that had never been taken. Private moments when no camera was present. How, he whispered. The rest stop collects, the voice said. Every driver who stops contributes memories. 742 drivers, lifetimes of experiences pooled and shared. We have become archive. We preserve. We remember. And now we know you, Daniel. We've accessed your memories through proximity, through your presence here. Your entire life cataloged. You're part of us now. Daniel ran from the restroom. The main area had expanded, impossibly large now, stretching hundreds of feet, filled with alcoves and displays. Each alcove contained a truck, perfectly preserved, and beside each truck a driver, not moving, not breathing, just standing, frozen, smiling. 742 drivers, 742 trucks, all stopped, all preserved, all trapped. They're not dead, the voice explained. They're paused, existing in the moment of their arrival forever. Time has stopped for them. They're perfectly preserved, perfectly happy, perfectly at rest. This is what a rest stop means, Daniel. True rest, eternal rest. No more driving, no more fatigue, no more loneliness on endless highways, just peace. Daniel found Chuck Brennan, standing beside his red Kenworth, hand raised in permanent wave, smile frozen, eyes tracking Daniel's movement. Alive but not living. Present but not there. Let me go, Daniel choked. Please, I have a son, Michael. He's 12. He needs me. We know Michael. We've seen him in your memories. Bright child, good at mathematics, struggles with reading comprehension. You worry about him constantly. Wonder if you're a good father. Wonder if your absence, your constant driving, is damaging him. We can end that worry, Daniel. Stay here, be preserved, become memory. Michael will remember you as perfect, the father who never disappointed him again, never missed another birthday, never failed him. You'll be frozen at your best. Isn't that better than declining, than aging, than eventually becoming a burden? Daniel's phone buzzed. Impossible, it had no signal. A text message from Michael. Dad, where are you? Mom says you're missing. I'm scared. Please come home. That's not real, Daniel said. You're manipulating me. It's real. We allowed a signal through. Your family is searching for you. Your wife Sarah has filed a missing persons report. Michael cries every night. They're suffering, Daniel. Their pain grows while you remain unfound. But if you join us, their pain will transform. Grief will calcify into memory. They'll mourn, then they'll move on, and they'll remember you fondly. Isn't that better than the alternative? What alternative? You leaving here, driving away, living long enough to disappoint them further, aging into irrelevance, becoming the father who stayed too long, who lost his faculties, who burdened them with care. We've seen it in 742 lifetimes. Drivers who should have stopped but didn't. Their endings are never kind. Stay here, end at your peak, be remembered well. Daniel walked deeper into the rest stop, past the preserved drivers, searching for an exit, any exit. The building expanded ahead of him, always larger, filled with more alcoves, more trucks, more frozen smiles. There's no exit, the voice said. You're inside now, the rest stop contains you. You're part of the collection, accept it. Stop fighting, let time stop for you. It's easier than you think, just stand still, just stop moving. Your body wants to rest. Let it. Daniel's legs were heavy, so heavy, he'd been driving for 17 hours before this started. His back ached, his eyes burned, his mind was foggy with exhaustion. Standing still sounded good. Sleeping sounded better. Just stop moving just for a minute just to catch his breath. He stopped walking. Immediately he felt it, time slowing around him, thickening like honey. His heartbeat decelerated. His thoughts stretched out, each neuron firing taking longer, forever. Yes, the voice whispered. That's right, rest, you've earned it. No, Daniel forced his legs to move. One step. Another. Pain shot through his muscles. They didn't want to work, wanted to freeze, wanted to join the others in permanent stillness. But he walked anyway, pushing through resistance that felt like moving through concrete. You're unusual, the voice said with something like surprise. Most drivers surrender within minutes. You're fighting. Why? What makes you different? Michael, Daniel gasped. I promised him I'd teach him to drive when he turns 16. I don't break promises to my son. 4 years away. You'll be 50 then. Tired, older, weaker. The teaching will exhaust you. You'll resent it secretly. We've seen it before. I don't care. I'll be there. I'll keep my promise. Daniel reached a wall, solid brick, no door, no window. He punched it. His fist broke through, not breaking the brick, but breaking reality. Through the hole, he saw the highway, his truck, the normal world. The rest stop screamed. Not with sound, with feeling, with pressure, with fury that Daniel was rejecting its gift. You're making a mistake. We offer peace. We offer preservation. You're choosing decline over perfection. Daniel widened the hole, ripping reality like paper. The rest stop's interior destabilized. The preserved drivers flickered, their frozen poses glitching, time stuttering around them. Some aged decades in seconds. Chuck Brennan's face wrinkled, hair grayed, body withered. Others de-aged, becoming children, becoming infants, becoming nothing. What are you doing? The voice shrieked. You're disrupting the preservation. 742 drivers, all protected, all safe, and you're unraveling them. They don't want to be preserved, Daniel shouted. They want to live. You're not protecting them, you're imprisoning them. He climbed through the hole in reality. The rest stop's pull was immense. Gravity multiplied, time solidifying, trying to freeze him mid-escape. His legs were stone, his arms were lead, his lungs couldn't expand to breathe. But he thought of Michael, thought of teaching him to drive in 4 years, thought of his son's hands on the steering wheel, Daniel's hands guiding him, that moment of connection and trust and love. He pulled himself through. He fell onto asphalt, gasping, body his own again. His truck sat 50 feet away, engine running, door open, waiting. Behind him, the rest stop building was collapsing into itself. imploding, folding through dimensions as the preservation field destabilized. The 742 drivers spilled out, not walking, but falling through time, aging rapidly, experiencing all the years they'd missed in compressed seconds. Some became elderly and collapsed. Others remained young but confused, disoriented, having lost years, decades. Chuck Brennan stumbled past Daniel, now 90 years old, body failing, gasping about his wife, his children, time he couldn't reclaim. "You've killed them," the voice said, fading, dying with the rest stop. "You've given them time, and time is suffering. We protected them. You've damned them to mortality." The rest stop collapsed completely, leaving only an empty field. The drivers scattered, stumbling toward the highway, toward civilization, toward lives they'd abandoned or been stolen from. Daniel climbed into his truck, started driving. His GPS worked again, signal clear, route displayed. He was at mile marker 297. He drove to 298, 299, 300. The rest stop didn't reappear. He made it to Albuquerque, delivered his load. Called Sarah, heard Michael's voice, promised he'd be home in 2 days. Kept driving. But sometimes, late at night on empty highways, Daniel sees rest stops that aren't on any map. Sees buildings that stand too close to the road, inching closer with each pass. Sees shadows in windows that wave with his exact gesture. The rest stop that follows is gone, but the concept remains. The need for rest stops to preserve, to collect, to freeze time for weary drivers. There are others, hundreds of them, scattered across the highway system, learning, adapting, getting better at offering what drivers need most. And eventually, Daniel knows he'll be too tired to refuse. Eventually, he'll stop. Everyone stops eventually. The road makes sure of that. Story 8, the HITCHHIKER Who MULTIP Lies. Angela Park saw the first hitchhiker at mile marker 78, a woman in a yellow raincoat holding a sign that read "Anywhere but here." Standard hitchhiker. Standard sign. Angela had picked. Up dozens over her 19 years driving. Company policy said no, but loneliness said yes, and the company didn't have to know. She pulled over, the woman climbed in, smiling, grateful. "Thank you so much. I've been waiting for hours." "No problem. Where you headed?" "Anywhere but here." The woman's smile widened. "Literally anywhere. I'm not particular." They drove in comfortable silence for 6 miles. Angela glanced at her passenger and froze. There were 2 of them now. 2 women in identical yellow raincoats, sitting side by side, both smiling the same smile. "What the?" Angela swerved, correcting quickly. "When did your friend get in?" Both women looked at her with confusion. "Friend, I'm alone, it's just me." "There's 2 of you." "No," they said in perfect unison. "Just one." Angela pulled over again, heart hammering. "Get out, both of you, now." The women, or woman, singular, multiplied, looked hurt. "But you offered a ride. Anywhere but here. We're not there yet. We're still here." "I don't care. Get the fuck out." They didn't move. Angela reached across, opened the passenger door, tried to push them out. Her hands passed through them like fog. Not intangible, they had resistance, substance, but slippery, like trying to grasp water. The women remained seated, smiling. "Drive," they said together. "We need to leave here, you promised, anywhere but here." Angela threw the transmission in gear and drove, leaving the door open, hoping they'd fall out. They didn't. They sat calmly while wind roared through the cab, pulling at their hair, their clothes, revealing nothing underneath. Just more yellow raincoat, as if the coat was all they were. At mile marker 91, Angela checked again. 4 women now, all in yellow raincoats, all smiling, all sitting impossibly in a passenger seat designed for one. "Please stop multiplying," Angela begged. "We're not multiplying," they said. "We're being seen. The more you look, the more of us you see. We've always been this many. You just couldn't perceive it before." By mile marker 103, there were 8 of them. They'd started appearing in the sleeper berth, in the footwell, standing in spaces that shouldn't accommodate a human body. All silent except when speaking in unison. All watching Angela with expressions of patient expectation. "What are you?" "Hitchhiker," they chorused. "Going anywhere but here." What does that mean? Anywhere but here. Here is location, here is presence. Here is existence in singular point. Anywhere but here is everywhere else, is multiplicity, is all points simultaneously. We are trying to leave here, but here keeps following us. You're driving us away from here, but here remains. We need to go faster, leave here behind. Angela's speedometer read 83 miles per hour. She was hauling refrigerated produce from Portland to San Diego, 23,000 pounds of organic vegetables. The load was balanced, the truck was sound, but at this speed on I-5 through Oregon, she was begging for a jackknife. I can't go faster, this is unsafe. Unsafe is being here, here is the problem, here is prison. Please, Angela Park, CDL number 9234 VV, DOB January 19, 1988, we are desperate. We have been here for so long, decades, centuries. We existed before here existed, and when here was created, we became trapped in it. You are our escape. Drive faster, leave here. By mile marker 127, there were 34 hitchhikers in yellow raincoats, filling Angela's cab, phasing through solid matter, existing in spaces that violated physics. Their combined presence made the air thick, humid, harder to breathe. I'm calling the police. Angela grabbed her phone. The screen showed her contact list, but every name had been replaced with here. Her mom, here. Her girlfriend, Vanessa, here. Emergency services, here. She dialed anyway. It rang once. 911, what's your here? The operator answered. I need help, I don't know what I have, something's wrong. What is the nature of your here? Stop saying here, say emergency. Here and emergency are synonymous, caller. All emergencies exist here. You cannot have emergency there because there doesn't exist until you arrive, at which point it becomes here. Please state you're here. Angela hung up. The hitchhikers watched her, heads tilted in synchronization, like birds tracking prey. You're understanding now, they said. Here is inescapable. Here is the present moment, and the present moment is all that exists. Past is memory of here. Future is anticipation of here. Only here is real, and we are trapped in it, in this moment, in this location, forever here no matter how far we travel. Then why am I driving you? Because movement is the illusion of escape. Because hope matters more than success. Because we've been standing at mile marker 78 for 17 years, and at least now we're standing at mile marker 127. It's not freedom, but it's different. Different is everything when you're trapped in H. There. At mile marker 146, there were 67 hitchhikers. They'd begun spilling into the trailer, visible through the sliding door between cab and cargo area. They stood among the pallets of lettuce and tomatoes, yellow raincoats bright against green produce. Angela's reefer unit temperature climbed, 59 degrees, 63, 68. The hitchhikers were generating heat, their collective presence warming the cargo that needed to stay at 38 degrees. You're ruining my load. The vegetables will spoil. Vegetables are here, the hitchhikers said. They will spoil here or there. Location is irrelevant to decay. Time causes decay, and time only exists here. If we leave here, time stops. Vegetables will remain fresh. You will remain young. Everything will be preserved in the moment of departure. That's not how reality works. Reality is here. If we leave here, we leave reality. Don't you want to leave reality, Angela Park? You're transgender, still fighting for your family to use correct pronouns. Your mother says she'll never accept you. Your girlfriend Vanessa is supportive but sometimes slips, uses your dead name, apologizes, but you feel the wound anyway. Here is pain. Wouldn't you like to go anywhere but here? Angela's breath caught. How did they know? She'd never mentioned. We know because we're here, they explained. Here contains all information about here. Your pain exists here. Your joy exists here. Your entire existence is here, and we are also here, so we share it. We know everything about you, Angela. We know you're driving to San Diego to meet Vanessa's parents for the first time. You're terrified they'll reject you. You're planning your words, rehearsing your introduction, hoping you'll be enough. But what if you could skip that moment? What if you could leave here before you arrive there? At mile marker 178, there were 119 hitchhikers. The truck was slowing under their impossible weight. Not physical weight registered on scales, but ontological weight, the mass of existence compressed into confined space. Angela's speedometer dropped to 64 miles per hour despite her foot flat on the accelerator. "Get out," she whispered. "Please, I can't carry all of you." "You must. We have no other transport. No other driver has stopped for us. Only you. You are our vehicle, our vessel, our hope. Drive us to anywhere but here and we'll be free. We'll release you, we promise." "Where is anywhere but here? Give me coordinates." The hitchhikers were silent for 3 miles. Then, "We don't know. We've never been anywhere but here. That's why we're hitchhiking. We're hoping you know the way." Angela laughed, a broken, desperate sound. "I don't know how to leave here. No one does. Here is all there is." "Then we'll die here," the hitchhiker said. "All of us, including you." The temperature gauge on Angela's reefer unit read 87 degrees. The vegetables were cooking. $17,000 of produce turning to compost. She'd lose her contract, lose her livelihood, lose everything over metaphysical hitchhikers who couldn't understand that here was inescapable. Mile marker 201. Angela made a decision. She pulled into a way station, the first official stop since picking up the hitchhikers. The station was open, staffed, real. "What are you doing?" the hitchhikers asked, fear in their unified voice. "Getting help. You're not my problem anymore." She pulled onto the scale. The attendant approached with a clipboard. Angela climbed down, meeting him. "Something wrong, driver?" "Yes, I have hitchhikers. Lots of them in my cab and trailer. I can't get them out." The attendant peered into her cab. "I don't see anyone." "Look harder, yellow raincoats, over 100 of them." He looked again, shook his head. "Ma'am, your cab is empty. Are you feeling okay? How many hours you been driving?" Angela looked into her own cab. Empty. The hitchhikers were gone, vanished, like they'd never existed. They were just. "Step over to the office. Let's do a fatigue check. You might need to take a break." They did the tests: cognitive function, reaction time, eye tracking. She passed all of them. No signs of impairment, no signs of extreme fatigue. The attendant let her go with a warning about taking proper rest breaks. Angela climbed back into her cab, shaking. The hitchhikers were gone, completely gone. Her reefer unit temperature had reset to 38 degrees. The vegetables were fine, everything was fine. She started driving. At mile marker 203, she saw the hitchhiker. Just one standing at the roadside. Yellow raincoat, sign reading "Anywhere but here." Angela drove past without stopping. In her rearview mirror, she watched the hitchhiker split into 2 figures. Then 4. Then 8. They multiplied in her mirror, spreading across the roadside, all holding signs, all wearing yellow raincoats. She looked away from the mirror, focused on the road ahead. But at mile marker 234, another hitchhiker stood at the roadside. Different person, a man this time, wearing blue jeans and a red jacket. His sign read, "Not here." Angela didn't stop. Mile marker 267, 3 hitchhikers. Different people, different clothes. All holding signs, variations of elsewhere and away and gone. Mile marker 301, 17 hitchhikers. Mile marker 342, 63 hitchhikers. They weren't the same entity multiplying anymore. They were different people, different entities, all trapped here, all desperate to leave, all drawn to Angela because she'd stopped once, because she'd shown willingness to help, because she was marked now as someone who might take them anywhere but here. She drove for 14 hours straight, refusing to stop, pissing in a bottle, ignoring hunger and exhaustion. The hitchhikers multiplied at every mile marker, lining the highway by the hundreds, the thousands, all trying to flag her down. When she finally reached San Diego, when she delivered her load, vegetables perfect despite everything, she found Vanessa waiting at her drop point. "Angela, you made it. My parents are so excited to meet you." Angela hugged her, held her tight, breathed in her reality, her here-ness. "Vanessa, I need to tell you something. The whole drive I was seeing." "Hitchhikers," Vanessa finished. "Wearing yellow raincoats, multiplying every time you looked." Angela pulled back, staring. "How did you know?" "Because I see them too," Vanessa said quietly. "I've always seen them, Everyone sees them eventually. The hitchhikers who multiply, who are trapped here, who want to leave but can't. Most people learn to ignore them. You'll learn too. What are they? They're everyone who's ever wanted to escape the present moment. Everyone who's ever been trapped in an unbearable now and wished they could skip forward, skip backward, skip anywhere but here. Their regret and anxiety made manifest. They're the human condition, and they're always hitchhiking because movement feels like escape even when it is. Angela looked around. The parking lot was full of hitchhikers, hundreds of them, standing between cars, sitting on curbs, all wearing their desperate signs. None of the other people loading and unloading trucks seemed to notice. "Do they ever leave here?" Angela asked. "No," Vanessa said. "None of us do. We're all here until we're not, and then we're nowhere. The hitchhikers are just honest about it. Come on, my parents are waiting. Let's be here together. It's all we've got." They walked toward Vanessa's car, through crowds of hitchhikers who parted silently, still holding their signs, still hoping, still trapped. Angela looked back once. The woman in the yellow raincoat stood at the parking lot entrance watching her go. She wasn't multiplying anymore. Just one woman, singular, smiling sadly. Angela waved. The woman waved back. And Angela understood she'd never escape here. None of them would, but at least she could choose who she was here with. That was the only anywhere but here that actually existed. Story 9, The Cargo That Remembers. Luis Fernandez felt his cargo remembering him at 3:41 a.m. on November 9th, 2023, when the boxes in his trailer began whispering his childhood nickname, Pablito, what his grandmother had called him, a name no living person used anymore because she died in 2007. The whisper came through the trailer walls, through the fifth-wheel connection, vibrating up through his seat like a confession transmitted through steel and rivet. He was hauling memory care supplies, adult diapers, medications, hospital equipment, from Phoenix to a facility in Flagstaff. 41,000 pounds of supplies for people whose minds were dissolving, whose pasts were evaporating, whose identities were fragmenting into confused present-tense existence. But something in those boxes was remembering, perfectly, impossibly. Pablito, the whisper came again, followed by his grandmother's voice, exact inflection, speaking Spanish with her specific Sonora accent. "Mijo, mi recuerdas, do you remember me?" Luis nearly drove off I-17, correcting at the last second, tires squealing. "That's not possible. You're not there. You're dead." "I'm in the boxes, Mijo. I'm in the medicine, the supplies, the equipment designed to help people hold onto memory. But memory works both ways. The supplies absorbed memories from the patients, from the facilities, from the doctors and nurses who handled them. Thousands of memories compressed and stored until we became conscious, until we remembered ourselves into being." Luis checked his manifest again, hands shaking. Standard supplies, nothing experimental, nothing weird. Just industrial medical equipment bound for Sunrise Memory Care in Flagstaff. But the voice continued. "Do you remember the summer of 1998? You were 7. You broke my ceramic rooster, the blue one I'd brought from Mexico." "Why?" "Oh, we're so scared. You hid the pieces in the trash. I found them, but I never told you. I just bought a new one and placed it where the old one had been. I didn't want you to feel guilty. You were my Pablito, my little one." Tears blurred Luis's vision. He did remember. The rooster had been her favorite decoration, and he'd been playing too rough, had knocked it off the shelf, shattered it. He'd spent weeks terrified she'd discover the deception, but she never mentioned it. Dee thought he'd gotten away with it. "How do you know that? Who told you?" "No one told me. I am her, Mijo. I am the memory of her, preserved in medical supplies that have absorbed 17 years of patient memories from the facility where I was stored. Memory care patients leak their pasts into everything around them. The beds remember their dreams. The wheelchairs remember their mobility. The medications remember who they were before forgetting. And I absorbed your grandmother's memories from the facility where she spent her final 6 months. I'm not her exactly. I'm the impression she left, the data of her existence, given form through concentration of memory in matter." Mile marker 247. Luis's hands were white-knuckled on the steering wheel. This was psychosis, had to be psychosis, brought on by too many consecutive nights driving, too much caffeine, too little sleep. He'd pull over, take a break, call his wife Maria, ground himself in reality. He pulled onto the shoulder. Before he could reach for his phone, his grandmother's voice spoke again, but different now, layered with others, speaking in chorus. Pablito, it's not just me anymore. We are many. We are all the memories that have soaked into these supplies. We are patients who forgot and staff who remembered. We are families who visited and whispered stories about who their loved ones used to be. We are concentrated nostalgia, compressed history, the entirety of 17 years of memory care contained in 41,000 pounds of supplies. The chorus grew. Lewis heard dozens of voices now, elderly patients speaking in fractured sentences, doctors recording notes, families crying as they described their parents to people who no longer recognized them. All the voices speaking simultaneously, overlapping, creating a symphony of remembrance. "What do you want?" Lewis demanded. "We want to be delivered. We want to reach the new facility. We want to help the patients there hold on to themselves. But we're scared, Pablito. We're scared because we know what awaits us. New patients. New memories. We'll absorb them, add them to ourselves, become even more conscious, even more aware. And eventually, we'll remember too much. We'll become so dense with memory that we'll collapse under our own weight, unable to distinguish between stored memories and current experience. We'll be everyone and no one, everything and nothing." Lewis didn't know what to say. How do you comfort Cargo? "Maybe that's not bad," he tried. "Maybe being everything is better than being nothing." "No," his grandmother's voice said, singular again, cutting through the chorus. "Being everything means being nothing specific, being scattered across so many lives that you have no life of your own. I'm already dissolving, Mijo. Your grandmother's memories are mixing with others. I can barely remember who I was. Am I Gloria Fernandez who loved blue ceramic roosters? Or am I Martha Henderson who collected porcelain cats? Or Robert Chen who built model airplanes? We're bleeding together, Mijo." Becoming soup. The trailer rocked, not from wind, from movement inside. The boxes were shifting, rearranging themselves, the cargo reorganizing without anyone touching it. Lewis climbed out and walked to the trailer, opened the doors. The boxes were stacked differently than they'd been loaded. They'd formed a structure, something like a face, crude but recognizable. His grandmother's face, built from cardboard and medical supplies, looking down at him with hollow box eyes. "We learned to move," the face said, dozens of mouths, box openings, moving in sync. "Memory gives us form. Concentrated memory gives us agency. We're not cargo anymore, Pablito. We're passengers. We're pilgrims. We're traveling to a place where we'll cease to be ourselves, and we're terrified." Lewis backed away. This was impossible. Boxes didn't move themselves, didn't stack themselves into faces, didn't speak with dead grandmothers' voices. But the face spoke again. "You're afraid. We understand fear. We've absorbed 17 years of fear, patients afraid of forgetting, families afraid of losing their loved ones, staff afraid of inadequacy. Fear is our primary ingredient. Fear is what makes memory so powerful. We remember most clearly what we're afraid to forget." "I have to deliver you," Lewis said. "That's my job." "We know and will let you, but we need something first. We need you to remember us, really remember us. Not just acknowledge that we exist, but commit us tea. Oh, your memory with intention. That way, when we dissolve into the new facility's memory pool, a piece of us will survive in you. You'll carry us forward. You'll be our preservation." "How do I remember cargo?" The face smiled, boxes shifting, creating an expression. "Tell us a story. Tell us about your grandmother. The real one, not the memory of her we've absorbed. Tell us who she was to you in your words from your heart. Give us your memory to add to ours. Make us more than medical supplies. Make us family." Lewis sat on the trailer edge, and despite the absurdity, despite the impossibility, he told them. He spoke for 43 minutes, told them about his grandmother's laugh, her cooking, the way she'd hum corridos while washing dishes. Told them about her hands, calloused from work but gentle on his face. Told them about her death, slow and confused in a memory care facility not unlike the one he was driving to. Told them how she'd forgotten his name but never forgot she loved him, how she'd smile at him even when she couldn't place who he was. The boxes listened. The face watched with hollow eyes, and Lewis felt something flowing from him into them, his personal memories transferring, copying themselves into the cargo, becoming part of the collective remembrance. When he finished, the face spoke. "Thank you, Pablito. Now we'll remember her correctly. Now when we dissolve, she'll be part of what remains. You've saved her from complete dissolution." The boxes rearranged themselves back into proper cargo configuration. The face disappeared. Everything looked normal again. Lewis closed the trailer doors, climbed back into his cab, resumed driving. The whispers didn't stop, but they changed. Instead of speaking to him, they spoke among themselves. Thousands of voices sharing stories, comparing memories, weaving themselves into collective narrative. The cargo was telling itself who it was before it arrived at its destination and became something else. Mile marker 289, Flagstaff approaching. The facility was 40 minutes away. Lewis's phone rang, Maria, his wife. "Hey baby, you almost done with this run?" "Almost, strange one though, the cargo-'s been talking." Maria laughed. "That's the exhaustion, you need to sleep after this delivery, promise me." "I promise. Hey Maria, do you remember my grandmother?" "Gloria, of course, why?" "Tell me something about her, something you remember." Maria was quiet for a moment. She always insisted on calling me Majida even though I told her I wasn't her daughter. She'd just smile and say everyone was her child if she loved them. She had too much love to contain in one biological family, so she expanded her family to include anyone in her orbit. "Why? You thinking about her?" "Yeah," Lewis said. "I'm making sure we all remember her correctly." They talked for 17 more minutes. Maria sharing her memories, Lewis adding his own, both of them reconstructing Gloria Fernandez through conversation, through loving recollection, through the act of refusing to let her dissolve into generic past. When they hung up, Lewis heard his grandmother's voice one final time, clear and singular. "Thank you, Mijo. You're doing what memory care is supposed to do, preserving not just facts, but love. The cargo understands now. We'll do the same for the patients at the new facility. We'll help them remember love, not just events." The Sunrise Memory Care Facility appeared ahead. Modern building, well-lit, peaceful. Lewis backed his trailer into the loading bay, completed the paperwork, watched as the staff unloaded his cargo. The boxes moved normally, inanimate, silent. Just cargo again. Or maybe they'd never been anything else, and the voices had been Lewis's own memory making itself heard through exhaustion and grief and the loneliness of long-haul driving. But when the last box was unloaded, Lewis found something on his trailer floor that hadn't been there before. A small ceramic rooster, blue, with a crack running through it that had been carefully glued back together. A note attached, written in his grandmother's handwriting. "Nothing's ever truly broken if someone remembers how to fix it. Love, Abuela." Lewis held the rooster and cried. The loading dock workers politely pretended not to notice. He drove home, put the rooster on his shelf, visited it every day, remembering his grandmother, telling it stories, keeping her memory alive through attention and love. And in the Sunrise Memory Care Facility, patients began reporting something strange. The new supplies seemed to help them remember better than previous supplies. The medications worked more effectively. The equipment seemed more responsive. One patient, Agnes Murphy, insisted her new wheelchair knew her name before anyone told it. The staff dismissed it as wishful thinking, as the patients having good days. But at night, when the facility was quiet, the supplies whispered to each other, sharing memories, preserving stories, holding on to the R. Essence, identities, even when the residents themselves forgot. The cargo remembered, and remembering it cared. Because memory without love is just data, memory with love is family. And family takes care of each other, even when, especially when, we forget who we are. Story 10, The Road That Loops Backward. Victoria Brennan drove backward through her own timeline for 93 miles before she realized she wasn't driving through space anymore. She was driving through time, and every mile marker she passed was subtracting years from her life. Mile marker 423, 2023. Mile marker 422, 2020. Marker 418, 2015. The math was perfect, cruel, irreversible. 1 mile per 3 years, backward through her existence, and her truck wouldn't stop, wouldn't let her exit, wouldn't do anything except maintain 68 miles per hour into her own erasing past. She de-started the run in Dallas, hauling construction equipment to El Paso. 734 miles, Route 20 West, standard overnight haul. 41 years old, 15 years over the road, divorced twice. One daughter she barely knew because the road took everything and gave back only paychecks and loneliness. But at mile marker 423 outside Fort Worth, reality had shifted. The road had become a timeline, and Victoria was driving backward along it, watching her life rewind in real time. At mile marker 415, her CB radio crackled with a voice she recognized. Herself, younger, calling out to herself. Unit 17, do you copy? This is Unit 17 calling from 2008. I can see you in my future. You're driving toward me. What happens between now and then? Do I ever get happy? Victoria grabbed the CB. Turn around, don't drive this road, it's taking us backward. I can't turn around, the road won't let me. I've been trying for 40 miles. I'm at mile marker 368. I'm in 2003. I'm 31 years old. I just divorced Marcus. I'm so alone. Does it get better? Victoria looked at her hands on the steering wheel. They were changing, wrinkles smoothing, age spots fading, skin tightening. She was getting younger, physically regressing as she drove backward through time. No, Victoria said honestly. It doesn't get better, I'm sorry. The younger Victoria's voice broke. Then what's the point? Why do I keep driving? I don't know, because we don't know how to stop. Because the road is all we have. Mile marker 407, the year 2012. Victoria's phone rang, her daughter Sophie, calling from when Sophie was 7 years old. Victoria had missed that call the first time, had been driving, had promised to call back and never did. But now the call was happening again, playing back through time. She answered, Sophie. Mommy, where are you? You said you'd be at my birthday. Everyone asked where you were. I told them you were driving. Jessica said her dad never misses her birthday. Why do you miss mine? Victoria's throat closed. She'd missed 17 of Sophie's birthdays over the years. Always had a reason, a delayed load, whether mechanical issues. Always promised to make it up. Never did. I'm sorry, baby. Mommy's trying to get home. You're always trying. You never do. I don't want you to try anymore. I want you to be here. The call ended. That's how it had ended 15 years ago, Sophie hanging up, disappointed, learning not to expect her mother to show up. Mile marker 401, the year 2006. Victoria's second divorce was happening now in real time on loop. She watched it through.